All right, I think we're live, pal.
Oh, we're live? I like it.
Yeah, sir, we are live. Let's just make sure everything is sounding good and doing good here. Where did I put my gimmick stick? All right, we got confirmation. We're both being heard. We both sound good. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Everybody, thank you. Thank
Madam,
you,
madam, who's that? Who's madam moderator here?
Madam
Who do we
Moderator.
got here?
Madam
Say
Moderator, that
hello,
would.
madam moderator. Oh, there she is. She's in the chat. She can hear
Yes.
and see us both.
Yes.
How fun! How was madam moderator this evening?
She. Who is she? Hi, Beastie. She should be doing good now. No, she's doing a little run around, but she's been doing errands all day. But she should be doing better. Speaking of doing better, roll tide, daddy.
Oh, you're cracking it there. I like it.
Arr. All right. Well, everybody, thank you again for joining me for another exciting episode of From the Hip, my weekly wrestling video podcast gimmick where I have people on. We tell stories from the road, from the ring, everything in between. Share some drinks and have some fun. My guest this week is none other than the oh god, what was it? The inhuman monstrosity. Is
Oh,
that the
you
old
got
gimmick
it.
name?
Inhuman monstrosity was one of the originals.
The inhuman monstrosity. Super Beast himself. Super Beast, thank you so much for coming on. How the hell you doing, Daddy?
Oh, I'm doing all right there, and I'm glad that you cracked a nice cold one. I have been cutting back a little bit. However, I will partake in one of these bad boys here. If you know, you know. These things are great.
And I'm sure plenty of us know. Well, you
I
let me
sure
know
hope
how that
so.
does you.
I'm telling you, these are my Friday night delights. 250 milligrams of pure bliss.
Dave McCormick, you know it's Friday when? That's right, when you got Brute VanSlyke on your gimmick device with one of my brothers here. You know it's Friday and in for a fun night of tales and suspense, and who knows where the night's gonna bring us. Um,
So, fun fact, I just realized this.
oh,
So, I was supposed to be on next week.
correct,
I'm on this week.
correct.
Which episode number is this?
We are now. I just put it in the title. What is it?
Episode 6.
Episode 6. That's correct. Yes.
It all comes full circle to the shitty 6.
Uh, it's fate. You
It
can't
was meant
escape
to
it.
be.
It was meant to be.
Yes, it was meant to be. Now we only got to go about 6 minutes and we're good. Then we hit the trifecta.
Well, I think we're gonna go longer than 6 minutes, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe
I get
we'll
I, I get blown up pretty easily. I'm just saying.
No, don't worry. Plenty of rest holds. Plenty of rest holds.
Oh,
Don't you
thank.
worry.
Listen, it's not a rest hold. It's an enhancement hold. There, we don't rest. We still have to struggle.
What's that? Is that an Al Snowism? That sounds like something Al Snow would say.
I've heard a lot of people talk that it's not rest holds.
I
I've heard a
have
lot of
heard. I've heard it's not a rest
people
hold.
say
You're not
that.
resting. Like I have heard that, but the way you took it, it sounded like
Yes.
somebody was passing some bitter wisdom on him. It's not a rest hold. You're enhancing the match, which is true.
I mean, I've been told it numerous times. Nobody from in a bitter sense of sorts. I did do an Ale Snow seminar once, and I fell asleep during it. Not because ale was boring, but because I was just so ungodly tired. Because we did the show, did ring crew till like 3 o'clock in the morning, unloading it, and then I had to be back at the school by 8 o'clock to clean it up to make it presentable for Mr. Snow. So I was going on like 4 hours of sleep, and they put me by the heater in there, and it was just like ice cold. And I'm like, I'm just so tired. I just started to doze off. But it was still one of the best seminars I ever did. I learned a ton that night.
Was I don't was that NEW? I could have swore I heard someone talk about an ELSO seminar in NEW.
Yeah. Yep, that was
Okay.
NEW.
Okay, yeah, I think I heard
And
about
not
that seminar
Northeast
from
Wrestling.
Studley or Cruz. I think one of them did it.
Oh, they were there. Yeah,
Okay.
Studley. No, Cruz is there, and this is next era wrestling, not Northeast
Yes.
wrestling. For all you Mike O'Brien fans out there, this was the next era of Rochester's wrestling scene.
Hey, that a lot of who's who from the area passed through there. Uh, did it? Was that one of the places that Isis and Derek did their like French tag team, or were they pirates there? They were
Oh,
something
they
weird
were
there, weren't they?
both. They were
They're
both.
both. Oh, okay.
I remember. So do you remember? I don't know if you do remember this from them or if they talked about it before. Uh, when Warpath ran MFW in Auburn, New York, in like the church, did they ever tell you about that?
I mean, I've heard a lot of Primal Warpath stories, but I'm not recalling one from a church.
So when so Warpath ran MFW, and
Mhm.
he used to run in Auburn, and it was like this like church community center where like the top floor was like a basketball court and stuff for like youth activities, which I loved because I love the basketball. And then the basement was like a church for Bible study and prayer. But he used to run there, and that's actually when I first met like Josh, Isis, Derek, all of them, and that was
Was
back in
Josh
like
working the shows?
I believe Josh worked a couple shows, one or two, at
Wha-
least one or two that I remember. I could be wrong. I
what
have
year?
had
What,
this would
what
have
would it
had
might
to
have
have
been?
been
Like oh
this would
four,
have
oh
had to been
five?
like yeah, like
Okay.
2004, 2005 ish.
Okay.
So I knew all of them well before that, and that's kind of when NEW Next Era first kind of started up there. So when we were there, we were able to see them and like, okay, we could use Isis. And I remember Isis doing like the pirate gimmick in one of the shows, and I believe Elmira. He was with Derek, and then I remember Derek came in and he was teaming with Nick Paradise for a cup of
Yes.
coffee there.
Yep.
Um, but that's how my first introduction to kind of like those guys in that scene was way back then. It was well
Hmm.
before did anything with 2CW.
Well, that is a good segue because, like I said, I kind of like to kick these off by kind of reminiscing when we first met and stuff. And my first meeting with you was kind of like a two-part story from two different points in time. And well, this might be a technically a
I'm
three-parter because there's one important
really,
story in between. So I'm pretty sure I've
huh?
mentioned this to you before, so I don't know if you remember it. But back in the day, back when I was on and off on my training, I was still always the video guy in 2CW. Now, doing all that, I kind of familiarized myself with what was going on in the area. So like during 2CW's early days, I knew about UW, I knew about OSPW, I knew about NEW, I knew about ECPW and all that stuff. And I
Hmm.
remember just one day I was just a pastime. I was before the show was going on and stuff, and then I see this guy sitting in like third row aisle seat, looking like Silent Bob with a Marvel hat on, and I'm just like, wait a minute, that's that Super
Oh.
Beast guy. He's here to start trouble because they don't like 2CW.
That's great. I
Because
never
I
knew
heard all the
this. I never
stories of
knew
like all the
this.
people who gave 2CW shit. So I thought you were like in that camp and you were just at the shows to start shit. But I would see you there like multiple times, just always sitting, never like really moving. You're just sitting in that chair just watching. And I was just waiting for you
Yeah.
for to like invade or something.
Yeah, no, I never knew that part because so I remember like if you when you walk into the doors of the pastime, like into where the
Hmm.
ring was, I always sat on the bleachers in the farm. I didn't want to take first, second, third, fourth, like the seats. I said
Hmm.
if I'm here, I'm comped. I'm gonna take like a corner in the bleachers, so I'm just kind of
Hmm.
out of sight, out of scene. I can watch. I remember sitting with Tony Zuko. If you remember Tony Zuko,
I've heard the
do you,
name. I think I might have seen him a time or
okay,
two, but I can't picture his face.
yeah, he was there like once or twice. But I would just come. So basically, what happened was I would ride. I was in Rochester, and
Mhm.
Ash had just moved to Rochester, and him and I we were kind of like riding partners for a long time. So I guess the statute of limitations has passed. He used to take his work truck to get to the show, so we didn't have to pay for gas because he had to make deliveries. He
What
had to
a
make
fucking
deliveries up in that
worker.
area. Absolutely, because he had to drive up to that area anyway. So what he did was he would take his work truck, do the delivery, and on the way back hit the shows. Well, I at the time wasn't you guys were running Fridays for the most part. And I didn't do too much on Fridays. That was like usually my shows are on Saturdays and the occasional Sunday. So I would just ride with him to work and I'd come to the show because I had already known Josh, Isis, Derek, and a couple of the guys had already, from the MFW stuff. So I'm like, hey, listen, I'll have my gear if you need something. I'm not expecting a spot, but if you need something, I don't care what it is, help. I just want to help out because that's how I got brought into wrestling. I shouldn't
Mhm.
have been brought in originally the way I did, but I was
We're gonna
always
get to
told
that.
you help out. You always help out, and that's just how I was born. So I would say, okay, I'll show up, I'll do what you need, and then after the show, I would just do ring crew with you guys and say,
Mhm.
hey, I'll give you guys a lending hand and help you out as much as I can.
And that's how you do it, Daddy B showed up with his working shoes. He came to pay his dues and do things right. And I I'm not sure how much time it took. It was probably a good while because we're gonna fast forward to part two of this story, and we're in Binghamton, New York, and
Hmm.
I'm training, and we're drawing near to my first match. And at the time, I didn't realize it was because that's a whole other story. Um, but we're in Binghamton and we're doing ring crew, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of commotion going on over in the far back corner. And we start running over because we hear like there's like a scuffle going on. So people are getting out of hand. And by the time we got there, it was all taken care of. And it was taken care of because of Super Beast, who intervened. And you'll have to fill me in exactly what was going on. All I remember is some drunk Binghamton dude getting pissed at you, grabbing you by the arm, and trying to judo throw you over his shoulder.
Hmm.
And
Uh,
I remember hearing this and just being like,
yes.
"With Super Beast?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How fucking drunk was he?"
Yeah.
And this led to you finally getting booked, but this was like a great story around the ring crew for a while. So kind of fill in the
Hmm.
details for us. How'd that go down?
So this would have been, I want to say February of 2010. I want to say
Nope,
right
nope, it's
around
before that.
there. 2000. It couldn't have been.
Are you sure?
It because so December 29th, 2008 is when I blew out my knee. The ACL, LCL, MCL. 2009 is when I had my surgery and I was off for pretty much the entire year. 2010 is when I came back, and I gotta say it was February 29 because I was I don't know why Josh told me to come to the show. He goes, "Hey, can you come to the show and all this stuff?" I'm like, "Sure, okay." And I remember it was just me from I think it was just me from Rochester from like my camp of people. I mean, there was the other car that had like I think it had like Brody, Marcos, and those guys in one car, but I was like Josh like, "Hey, come to the show," and everything. I'm like, "Okay." And I remember I was driving there, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was supposed to be it was the Olsons, Jimmy and Colin versus 3 or 2.0 on that show. Well, when I was about 10 or 15 minutes away from the building, Josh was like, "Hey, do you got your gear?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I might need you and Dewey to wrestle the Olsons. We don't know where 2.0 is. They may have got stuck at the border." I'm like, "Well, oh shit, I'm not ready for this, but okay, I can do it. I mean, I'll make it work. Fine." And then when I got to the venue, Josh was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, change of plans. 2.0 just showed up right before you did. If you want, go hang out in the locker room, go hang out, downstairs with the boys." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. Let me sit up here because I remember this was where, there was the altercation in the parking lot with Brody and the drunk fan and the fist that was thrown. So let me just sit up here just in case stuff gets out of hand because this is like shortly right after that. It was like one of the next shows right after the riot broke out. So I said, let me just stay up here. At the end of the show, probably about four guys were being belligerent and drunk, and Keith Harris was like, "Hey guys, you got to get out, you got to leave." Where that glass door is in like that main hallway out like the main front door, he was trying to get them out, and they were trying to, I think they wanted to fight him because one guy cocked back like this. I'm like, "No, you don't." And I just boom, rear naked choked him. Just squeezed the life out and just like held him there. I'm like, "You're not gonna punch him. I'm not gonna let you." And his friend behind him was like, "Man, you gotta let him go. He's been drinking. He's not feeling good. He's gonna throw up and stuff." So the guy that I'm choking, he goes, "Hi, yeah," and he tries to throw me. I'm like, "What the fuck are
Did
you
it really
doing?"
say hiya?
He's like, "Hi, yeah." He tries to throw me. I'm like, "What?" I'm just like, "Do you not see me? I'm like 3 times your size, and I've got you by the neck. You're not going anywhere." So then I just let him go, and I just shove him out the front door. And that's when everyone's like, "What the hell happened?" I'm like, Keith and I got rid of them. And he fell going out the door. And we closed the door and we just let it be. And that's what happened.
Okay, so here's where it's getting twisted in my brain then. So I must be wrong about something because I always thought that this is the story that happened and this led to you getting your first booking in 2CW in Binghamton. So what I remember, and this was supposed to be part 3, so now like I'm gonna have to figure out how this all happened because I might be remembering it different.
So
But
here's the
my
thing.
first pro
I
wrestling
don't think
match ever was February 19th, 2010, Binghamton, New York. And I remember being in Gorilla, watching on the TV, and you, what I thought was your first CCW match, was on like right before me. I think right before intermission. Then it was intermission, then us. I think, but you're definitely like right before us. And I remember you
Mhm.
coming out there. You're a big dude in a singlet, and then you do the butterfly suplex, which was my big move of the night.
The butterfly.
Yep. And I was like, he just did my move. And everyone's like, calm down. It's okay. And I remember being like, they're not going to pop for my move now. I was, because I was already scared. It was
So
my first match ever. And my one like big thing was my butterfly suplex that became my bread and butter. And I remember you doing that. And I could have swore it was your first match for TCW. I think it was you and Dewey versus the Steves. There might have been a six
oh
man.
yeah.
I'm not 100%, but I remember
No,
that
it was a
happening
regular
and me
tag.
being like really annoyed and be like, that son of a bitch doing my move.
So was your first show the one that had $1 Million Man onto it, where he had the
No.
segment with, I want to say it was Marcos?
No, that was later as one of our first matches because I remember $1 Million Man being there, and I think me, Kevin, and Springate wrestled like the Steves and Loca. My first
Okay.
show was Adrenaline that had Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Jimmy Olsen as a main event. That was setting up Olsen versus Lawler at Living on the Edge
Roller.
5.
So, because the show that had $1 Million Man was that's the show that I choked out the fan.
Hmm.
And I remember that because I remember watching $1 Million Man there. Now,
So it
was
might have
I
been
want
before
I
then.
it had to, because I remember it was a February show. Because I remember driving home. I stopped at one of my friend's house at the time because it was on the way, and she goes, "Hey, I didn't know you were driving. I would have came with you. Come by." So I said, "Okay, I'll swing by your house. That's fine." And it was like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, just say hello and hang out for a little bit because it was right on the way. And I just remember that, but it was the $1 Million Mansion where I choked him out. Now that I wasn't supposed to come to get booked that
Mhm.
show. It was just, hey, we might need you to fill in possibly.
Yeah,
So it
so
was
that
just
must have
kind
been
of a
like the Binghamton
happenstance
show
that
before. I
happened.
mean, I do remember that night, like you had
Yeah,
like your knee brace on. It was like you were nervous because it was right after like your knee issue and stuff. I remember that during that match.
yeah.
So DiBiase, we either had him twice or that's mixed up too. But then the DiBiase must have been before because yeah, like I said, I definitely remember mine was Adrenaline, Hexa, Jim Duggan. Jimmy was pile driving somebody, I forgot who, but that was setting up for him
Barbie.
versus Lawler.
Yeah, Jimmy wrestled Barbie, and then Duggan made the save, and then he wrestled Duggan.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
He
think
was
I was
pile
there for
driving a woman.
that. I don't think I was there for that.
Well, I
Where's
definitely,
the agent when we need him?
I know, right?
Where is
Fenton, you're
he?
dropping the
Where is
ball.
he?
If you're watching this on replay, you're an asshole. You're ruining everything. I'm just kidding, Patrick. We love you. He's probably at he's
Is the FanCast website still up with all the results? Because now I'm very curious. I'm gonna check. Because now I'm very puzzled. I thought I had a pretty good memory for this stuff,
well, so did I,
but
but
let
I
me see.
definitely
2CW
remember, like, in
result.
my brain, it was always you got your first booking because you stopped that fight and beat, threw the dudes around and they tried to judo throw you. And I wasn't wrestling yet on that show, but I remember you were on my first show. We both, like, my first show ever, but that was your first 2CW show because we debuted the same show, whatever. And you're on right before me, and I remember just watching you do the butterfly and me getting all butthurt because I'm a
See, I
greenhorn and
remember that because
I
I
don't
do
know better
remember
yet.
that. Um, I do remember that for sure because I remember us having the talk about the butterfly suplex. Um, so I do remember that. I'm very baffled, but yeah, I did not mean to take your butterfly.
Well, dude, looking
That
back at it
was on
now, it's
my
definitely
bad.
just absolutely nothing. Plus, they were different. You did the butterfly where you throw them and you turn and you go down with one arm. I was doing the bridge on one at the time, and you know, even
Oh
if it's
yeah,
just one move,
oh yeah.
like
There's there's no way I'm doing a bridge. Absolutely zero. All
yeah.
right,
So
so
okay,
you are correct.
am I?
February 19th of 2010, me and Dewey,
Hmm.
with apparently JD Love as our manager, wrestled the Steves, who beat us. And then you had Kevin and Mikey.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I was there for that. But when did I choke out the
Yeah.
fan?
When was the Binghamton judo
The
incident?
last uh was it I mean so here's the well, hold on. What is this here? Cuz the time before that was June 6th of '09, but I was definitely injured at that point. So, you know what I wonder
Did you
was
not?
I
Did you have to
wonder
wait until your knee was better for you to have your match?
no, because I was better in 2000. I was wrestling by October 2009. I did a couple matches here and there. You know what it
2CW wasn't
was? I
running at that
wondered
time. 2CW, like,
2009.
well, at the end of 2009, yeah. The only reason why, again, I guess statute of limitations have
Excuse me.
expired. I mean, I don't want to be talking out of my business, but the whole reason why
Okay.
Kevin, Mikey, and I had that match in February was because 2CW almost closed. So
Yeah.
I think this was, I don't know if this was the upstate
You
angle
know
where they
what?
couldn't run for 90 days or whatever, but yeah, they took off like the winter, the end of 2009, came back in February. And I think they were going to end it at Living on the Edge, but then they figured out everything and kept going. So if that happened in like June, you might have done that, and then we might have not have had a show, you know, in a while. You might have been booked the next one, but yeah, that winter, October, November,
No.
December, we
It
weren't running.
it definitely was February. So this is what I'm thinking. This is the only thing that makes sense. Me and Dewey versus the Steves may have been like a one-off for that show because he needed somebody to wrestle the Steves. But because of the choking incident with the fan, that secured me a full-time spot on the roster instead of just the one and done.
Well, I guess that could explain it too. I just
That's
always
that could be
thought,
because I definitely remember it was February of 2010. I remember that for
yeah,
sure.
all right. See that,
So
Patrick?
we
We
worked
don't need you.
together.
We got it all figured out ourselves.
Well, thank you, cagematch.net as well, because you're very helpful, even though it didn't say $1 million Man on the website. I can still make it work. But yeah, that's got to be what it is, because I think that was me securing a full time spot, but it still wasn't full time because at that time I already had bookings or other engagements the day of 2CW shows. So it wasn't until
Mhm.
like end of 2010 I became full time.
How long? Because when you first came in, you became like you were like the prisoner for Peter and Dick, or maybe Dick added later. But you're like doing the fucking Hannibal Lecter thing. Like he had the
Ooh.
wet hair, and you were getting cuffed, and you're like the monster unleashed. Like So was that like right
Mm.
away when you came in? They started doing that.
No, actually, there's one that you missed. I came in, I teamed with Dewey because
Oh,
they just needed to have somebody to team with and didn't have anybody, so they put me together with him. Okay, cool. And then at one point we started working with Marcos. We were like, I don't know if you want to call me like a personal trainer, personal assistants, or whatever the case may be, but I remember we were working with Marcos when Marcos treated with ISIS. Dick came in, I want to say, was it April of 2011?
yeah, it was definitely for Living on the Edge 7.
It was
It
the one
was
in Watertown.
Yeah, it was Watertown and Rome. I think
Hmm.
it's when like Kevin and I were tag champs. We wrestled
Hmm.
Mark and the Briscoe brothers there. So that must have been Living on the Edge 7.
And that was Watertown, right? That you wrestled them?
We wrestled the Briscoes in Rome. I forgot what it did in Watertown.
Okay. Because I I remember Matt Milan was also on that show.
Yeah,
And
he did that handicap gauntlet,
he,
and that's where
with us,
Dick showed up in Watertown.
correct.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't make the second show. I had a wedding the next day.
Yeah, the wedding. That's right.
So I could make night one, but not night two. So Dick was coming in to replace me.
Yep.
But because he was doing the cop gimmick, as was PT Order, boom, it clicked. It meant that they could be the team. And at that point, that's when they said, well, we don't want to lose him because, and let's face it, like I wasn't anything special. I wasn't anything great. And, you know, you look at the people they brought in. I'm not going to do the stuff that a Briscoe brother will do. I'm not going to be an AJ Styles. I'm not going to be a Jim Duggan. But
Daddy,
Josh wanted to keep.
everybody has a spot. Everyone has a role. Everyone has a job.
Well, correct. And the reason Josh brought me in was because he knew that I could fit in with them. But he also realized, like, and I get this as somebody who's ran shows before, he just didn't want to have somebody that's going to complain about their spots. Like, yeah, I showed up. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? All right. Oh, you want to switch me from like six match up to fourth with like 2 minutes notice? Okay, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to sit there and argue with him. So we didn't want to lose that because it was nice for him to vent to me and then say, "Oh man, I'm so glad to have her." I wasn't like a cancer to the locker room, so to speak. I was a good person to have around. He didn't want to do that, so they said, "Well, we'll put you with them, be like the prisoner." And then I don't know how it came about, but he wanted to like do like almost like a whole village people type thing where you have the cops. I was the EMT. We were going to get a firefighter at some
Yep.
point and do like a whole bunch of stuff like that. Uh, but he goes, "Hey, do you want to be the EMT? Can you do this?" I'm like, why can't I? Absolutely, I could do this. I'll make it work. I'll figure it out. Just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do what I got to do. And I went on Amazon and I bought these props, and I took the ball and I tried to make the most out of a situation that I could.
Which you did very well because I mean,
Oh, thank you.
first off, that doesn't really happen a whole heck of a lot. I mean, I I probably shouldn't be casting stones because, well, the infamous story with me is before I started wrestling, I was after training, I was out to we went out to eat. I was with Derek and Freddie, and we were talking, and they kind of let it slip that uh the time you did complain was epic. What all time fave 2W memories of shitty six pipe bomb. All right, well we'll put a can on that. We'll get that in a second.
Oh,
Just because like what I was saying was uh the story I tell to like a lot of kids who are like kind of unhappy with their gimmick, unhappy with what they get. I always tell them the story and like how I if looking back, I would handle it different. Um, so after training, I'm out to dinner with Derek and Freddie. I think we might have been filming those Loc and Freddie Super Show things actually. But we're talking, and they kind of let slip how Josh was talking about using me and Kevin. Kevin's idea was he was going to be the wrestling referee, where he would referee and then wrestle and then referee, but he would like wrestle kind of like Johnny Davis, the referee from WWF LVW. He'd kind of wrestle in like the striped tights and whatever, and then he'd lose his match, but then he changed the rules so he can win it and shit like that. And then his idea for me was he wanted me to be one of the gay bikers from Police Academy, and uh, so they told me that. And
Oh, that's good.
so now,
I didn't know that. I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah, which kind of makes sense
Oh.
once you look back at all the Revenge of the Nerd shit Josh ended up doing,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
Police Academy, or whatever. That would have gotten over. Yes, that is the moral of the story. Is I always tell Josh and everybody else like I should have done the gay biker gimmick because I probably would
Mhm.
be making a lot of money right now. But
Mhm.
uh, so they told me that, and I'm sitting on the other side of them at the restaurant, and they tell me that, my face just goes. So I'm just like, but I'm not gay and I don't ride motorcycles. How do I be a gay biker? I didn't know how to do it. It was nothing like me. And my thing at the time was when I
Mhm.
wrestled, I just didn't want to be anything I wasn't. And here they are throwing two
Yeah.
things at me that I'm not. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So I didn't really say anything other than, well, I'm not gay and I don't ride motorcycles. I don't know how to do that. So somebody, um, hashtag fuck Freddy, he went and told Josh that I didn't want to do it, that I refused to do it. Josh got mad. He was like, fuck him. So Josh came up with a second gimmick. And I heard about this way later after I started wrestling. But Josh's idea was he wanted to be Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds and come out with like the Letterman jacket with the sleeves cut off. And Kevin was going to be the quarterback. And my whole thing was I hate nerds. And I
Mhm.
was like, dude, that'd be fucking awesome. I'll do that. But,
Yeah.
you know, I said that no one ever told Josh I was on board with that. So it never happened. So now, looking back, granted, I didn't like refuse to do it. I just said I didn't know how to do it, but it got skewed and then turned into like Brute refuses to do this gimmick, and fuck him. Who does he think he is? He's should be happy with whatever he gets, which I should have.
Mhm.
I should have just my reaction should have been, "Oh my god, I got a gimmick that'll be great," because I've told certain people, like whatever their gimmick is, I'm like, make the most out of it right now. Like take it, have fun with it, make the most out of it. I go
Yeah.
eventually. This gimmick, you're more of yourself is going to start coming through that gimmick, and then eventually it's going to morph into something different. You can look at a lot of guys, even the ISIS effects and the JD Loves. They started off as one thing, but their personalities kept on shining through, and then evolved into something else. And
Mhm.
so looking back, I wish I was just full board. Yeah, I'll make the most of it like you did, because you took that criminal thing and it was all great. And then they're like, oh, now you're an EMT. And you're like, fuck yeah, I can make this work. And here you are, Oswego, some random show. And they're like, oh, you're going to wrestle Cherry Bomb. And then you guys had a freaking bomb ass match.
Mhm. No pun intended. So here's the thing too, and I mean you've been around for a while, just like I have. A lot of times, people, especially, and I'm guilty of this too, when I first started, because I didn't really understood how wrestling worked when I first started. They got this preconceived notion of what they want to be and how they want to be portrayed, and they can't be anything else. They
Yep.
think wrestling big, bad, tough monster. And I thought the same thing for a while, but then when I first started, everyone was like, "Hey, look at you! You're a big man. You got to be a monster. You can't talk. You have to growl." So like from 2003, well, 2003, I was a little more flamboyant at the beginning, but I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I literally had no training going into my first match and show ever. And then around 2004, it's kind of started to click when I was doing more on the road there. And the thing was like, you can't talk, you can't do this, you can't do that. You're gonna come out, grr, snarl, all this stuff. I'm like, okay. So from like 2000 like 4ish to like 2000 maybe 10ish, that's all I could. I got bored with it because I'm like, I know I can do so much more. So I'm like, you kept me caged up like an animal, no pun intended. I'm like, I can't have fun with this. I can only go so far. So when I came back in 2010, I was still doing it a little bit because that's what they brought me back to do at Next Era Wrestling. Whatever, cool. I got some okay matches, some fun matches out of it. And then um, right around the end of 2010, 2011, when I was branching out to other places, I went back to Warpath MFW Fed, and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I just have fun and be like a baby face?" And he goes, "Do whatever you want." I'm like, "Can I cut a promo?" He goes, "Do whatever you want." I'm like, "Okay." And I went out there and I was the most over baby face my first time back because I could talk, I could have fun. I love improvising. I love having conversations with people. I like to be outgoing. So I went out there, did a basic squash match, took the microphone, cut a big promo. I came out to "You Give Love a Bad Name" because we didn't know what to use for a babyface song. And then during intermission, I'm like, "Mr. Ring Announcer, you're not doing a good job at selling the 50-50. Give me the microphone." And I sold more 50-50 tickets in one night than he had made like the past year. And like, "You're on to something." I'm like, "Just let me just do it." And then I just kept improvising and improvising. So all that time not being able to do it, I'm like, finally I can do it. And now you guys can see, and it just gave us that extra layer to the onion, so to speak. And now I could talk. Now I can do this. Now I can have fun. And now because I'm not being held back saying, "You can't do this. You can't do this. This is what a big man does." The traditionalists out there, I can have fun. I can adapt. And let me just have my free reign. Give me my canvas. Just give me a start. Give me a finish, and I'll paint the picture.
I can totally relate to that. Not saying like I'm nearly as flamboyant, as charismatic as you got to be with that, but like when I didn't do the gay biker gimmick and didn't do ogre, so I came out first match, student match, so I'm just Michael VanSlyke. Everyone knows me as Big Pun, so Big Pun Mike VanSlyke, Punisher VanSlyke, put with
Mhm,
Kevin Graham and all that stuff. So now, growing up, I'm one of the guys who's old enough to have watched MTV True Life. I'm a professional wrestler when it came out,
mhm.
and
Yep.
so watching that I based everything I saw from that on indie wrestling. So I always assumed that while training, when I was ready to wrestle, I was going to get pulled into a back room. I'm going to sit down at a desk, and someone's going to tell me what my name is, what my gimmick is, and what I'm going to do. And then one day I'm at the
Mhm,
gym after training. I'm with Derek. We're talking, and he's just like, "No, that doesn't happen. You just kind of come up with it and figure it out." I was like, "What?" I was like, "It's up to me. Like I come up with like my name and my gimmick and all that shit and sink or swim." And that's kind of what happened to me. I got the name Punisher Events like after wrestling Raven. I was put with Kevin Graham, and all I was told was, "You're the big guy. Don't talk. You're not allowed to talk in promos. Kevin Graham does all the
mhm,
all the talking. You just stand there and look
mhm,
intimidating." So it didn't take very long, even though we were doing the Jay and Silent Bob thing, it did not take long for Kevin Graham to surpass me in so many ways, where everyone was calling me the Marty of the team because Kevin was charismatic and he was able to talk and he was able to emote and do stuff. And I would just come
mhm,
in, slam somebody, take Kevin, and he'd run his mouth, and he just had more dimension to him than I did. And it drove me crazy. I wanted to do more. I wanted to talk. I wanted the freedom to do that. And eventually I was able to. And once I was able to get on the mic and able to start talking, I love cutting promos now. I absolutely love it. And sometimes I do some really good ones. Sometimes I do some stinkers, but this whole hired gun thing is the most fun I've had in wrestling in a long time because it's something
mhm,
near and dear to my heart and a lot of personal stuff. And I can go out there and do stuff with it. And I absolutely love it. And it's a lot better than just standing there with my arms crossed while someone runs around and yaps in front of me. Which also leads me to another point of why I was always so mad at you when I first started wrestling. When I was in backyard wrestling in like high school and stuff, my wrestling name was Super Beast. I came out to the song Super Beast by Rob Zombie,
Okay.
and I did like a Taz Rhino gimmick, and my finisher was the clothesline from hell. And instead of the gore, because no one wanted me to spear him um, in the yard, too stiff. So my name was Super Beast. So when I'm like, oh, I get to come up with my own gimmick, fuck, I'm gonna be Super Beast. I never got to be Super Beast. And what I think is so funny is I told Josh that story, and Josh looked at me. He just goes, "I would never let you be Super Beast." And what's funny is you showed up, and he didn't let you be Super Beast either
He did
for a
for
minute.
like
Yeah.
the one or two matches, then it went away, then it came back
Yes.
there. Now, what year was the backyard for you?
Oh, this was like early 2000s, probably like let's see, I graduated in '04. So yeah, it was probably like 2000. It was when ECW was still around, so probably like 2000, 2001, 2002. Because like I said, I was trying to be like Rhino and
Okay,
Taz.
okay. So the only reason I had that name, so I didn't know much about indie wrestling growing up because I just never really got out and about. It was just my mom, my sisters, and me at my house. And I'd watch the pay-per-views, I'd watch the TV product, but I didn't know what an indie was. Like I had no idea, like up here, and I know this one will touch a bright spot in your heart. Like I didn't know NMW. I didn't know any of this. The only thing I found out about was a fed up here called Rock City Wrestling in like 2001. And the only reason I found out about it was because a couple people that wrestled there went to high school with me, and they said, "Oh, here's a guy wearing a wrestling shirt. Let's sell him a ticket because that's what you do." And I said, "I'll go to the show." And I'm like, "Holy fuck, what is this?" It's like 10 minutes from my house. I want to do this, and I found the website. I went to the website. I signed up on the message board. Well, everybody needs a cool name on a message board, and that's where Super Beast came from. That's where it came from. And then it's funny that you mentioned the MTV thing with a desk in the back because that's how I got started.
Okay.
Um,
That's awesome.
it was December 2002. I so all right. So let me go back a couple months. Early 2002. My first indie show that I ever went to was November 2001. I said I want to do this. January 2002, I went to my second indie show and I said, "Hey, how do I do this?" I walked to one of the guys. I'm like, "I want to do this. I want to do this." I put my name on the list. They said, "Okay." June or July that year, they did a tryout just to see who could do what. And I said, okay, I'll be giving it a shot. I'll try to run the ropes, back bump, and that was my very first time in the ring. However, before that, I was still doing ring crew at their shows as a fan. I said, hey, any way I can get into this, let me do it. So even as a fan, I not only did I pay for a ticket from them, but I'm still doing their ring crew. Okay, cool.
Jesus.
So I'm doing their ring crew, and this was a shitty ring. This was a boxing ring. It does not go together properly. You actually have to screw the frame into the ring post with nuts and bolts. It was bizarre. And then they're like, okay, 2002 December, they're supposed to have a show in 2003. And I'm like, I get a call on a Sunday night. It's like Armageddon 2002. I get a phone call from one of the guys in charge, and they're like, we're going to bring you up to the show, kid. You're starting in January. I'm like, what the fuck? What? I got like
It's your
1
NXT
day in the
call up,
ring
kid.
there. Yeah, like I'm like, what do I do? I've been in the ring once. I've done 4 or 5 bumps. I ran the ropes and that's it. They're like, come down to the building the Monday night before show because they would do training Monday, they would do training Wednesday, and then the show was on Friday. And that was it
Who ran
because it was a
Rock
martial
City?
arts dojo and they had class in there. So Rock City Wrestling was ran out of Samurai Martial Arts. Kurt Sawyer was the owner slash promoter, but there were a couple other people in charge there. Guys, I don't think anybody here probably have heard of.
Okay.
There was an Austin Rhodes, a Father Sin. You might have heard, Sean. I think you know Sean Lane from the FPW days. You probably met him a couple times.
Okay.
They were the ones that were kind of like the booking committee, so to speak, and they're the ones that decided it was time for me to come up. What happened was two of the guys on the roster uh, got into a fight the week before the show over a female, I do believe.
Of
They got
course.
into a fist fight, and one of the guys that threw the punch and broke the other kid's tooth, got suspended for the show. Well, they wanted to send a message to the locker room saying, hey, we can replace you at any time with anybody we see fit if you fuck up. I was there only brought up to send a message. Hey, we're gonna kick you off the show, guy number one, and we're gonna replace you with this guy who's just a fan that wants to do this to teach you a lesson. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I go in there that Monday night. I'm like, uh, what do you need from me, sir? They're like, we want you to sign the waivers. We need you to come up with an outfit. We want you to be flamboyant. Can you get this? I'm like, uh, yeah. They're like, good. We'll see you on Wednesday. Show us what you got. So the next day, I went to Walmart and I went to Party City. I bought like fabric glue. I bought a bunch of like googly eyes. I bought some feathered boas, and I made the most outrageous looking outfit I could of a flamboyant, pimpish looking Shawn Michaels, sexy boy toy type outfit you could. Like all eyes are on me. I'm part of the entourage. Look at my feathered boas and all this other shit. And they looked at me like, yeah, we got money here. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. The day of the show came, I'm in the locker room, with the exception of those that wanted me on the show to teach the other kid a lesson, and maybe one or two other people there. Everyone's like, get the fuck out. We don't want you here. We don't respect you or do anything. I said, oh, okay.
Jesus.
I can't go anywhere because I was asked to be here, and I did the show, I did the ring crew, and then that was that. First ever show, January 31st of 2003, as a manager.
Gee.
Yeah,
What?
it's really baffling. Um,
That really
it's
is.
extremely baffling that like honestly, like they had the desk and everything, the paperwork. This is what you're doing. This is how you're gonna work with it. I'm like, okay, I'll make it work. And the next month they didn't have a show, but they said we're gonna still train even without the ring. We're gonna do like amateur mat practice. And there's two guys that I give a lot of credit to that I don't know. I mean, I tell them all the time whenever I see them. Kid Justice, who
I'm
wrestled as
never
he was
met him,
part
but
of
he had that. He had the mask with like the eagle or something on it, right?
yeah, and he was part of Rhythm and Booze as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it
Oh,
was it
okay.
Buddy Delmar. I think he was the bald one.
Oh,
I can't. And he also wrestled as Momo. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember Momo.
You do?
No, I don't remember that. I never heard
Okay.
of that one.
But you know Rhythm and Booze, right? Him,
Yes.
it was Art Bailey and Sean Zimmerman, Frank the Tank Burlington, and Buddy. Yeah, it was Buddy Delmar was Kid Justice, and then Frank the Tank Burlington, um, was his tag partner. Those two. So, statute of limitations. I replaced um Frank the Tank Burlington on that RCW show, and they kind of like they said, "Listen, you're not liked here, but we'll get you ready. We'll help you out there." And they did so much for me. They would like show me the ropes and stuff like this, and they would help me out more than they even realized. And then they said, if you can keep putting in the work and showing up every single session, doing the ring every single time, doing everything you can, you'll earn their respect. And finally, it did, and it went through, and that was how I got my start.
Shit, man. Night and day with me, man. Like no desk, no well, I think the only similarity was maybe the sink or swim, except, once it was
Hmm.
announced, Springgate made us like fucking drill that shit into our head before our first match. But like I was saying, like during that time, 2CW's future was like up in the air. So it was around this time, it was around Thanksgiving, and I was at home. I was living on my own at the time, um, with probably my cousin as my roommate, I think. Um, but training was canceled because Thanksgiving or whatever. And Josh texts me. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just hanging around." No, it was a little before because the snow. They canceled because the snow was bad. Because there was a time where it used to snow in November. I don't know if you remember that, but it used to snow in November. So the snow was really bad, so they just canceled training. So Josh is like, "Oh, you bummed?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am actually." He's like, "Why are you bummed?" I'm like, "Well, one less training means one last day. I'm closer to having a match." So I was like, it kind of sucks that it's it's canceled. The next week we're not having because of Thanksgiving and blah blah blah. So it'll be like 2 or 3 weeks we're back in training. I was like, it sucks. So he was like, well, I got news for you. And I was like, what? So he called me and he told me, it was like, the next show in February, he was going to do, the match with me,
Hmm.
Mikey, and Kevin and go through all that. And I remember just like being in shock and awe and all that shit. And he's like, don't say anything yet. Once we get closer, then you can start telling people so you can, sell tickets and shit. But yeah, then we did the match, and I still remember like when the match was over, coming back to the first I got to the curtain, and Springate was there, so he gave like all of us hugs, and then we went through the curtain, and everyone's like in gorilla. I remember seeing Axe and Derek and a bunch of other and Studley and stuff, and they're like clapping, and everyone's hugging us and congratulating us. So, I guess my first match has a lot warmer welcoming than yours did
Yeah,
back in my
these
day.
were
Snow in October,
really
children.
rough. Is know how it worked. I never was privy to it.
Ah,
Yeah, I was never privy to how there. I got it all on my own, and I had to do it on my own.
mhm.
And then they helped me out once I started there, and it's kind of took. And I just took that ethic, and I said, let's just keep going and going. And then finally, in 2004, when Next Era opened up, and they got a ring there, I would train there 3 times a week versus maybe once, twice a month. And then I started to try to take shows on the road. Now they weren't great shows. Maybe I had to go to a Buffalo OSPW, and when I was really, really shitty, and just try to experience what I could. And then 2005, I would try to take more shows, try to venture out a teensy bit more here and there and stuff like that. And then I think that's actually when I met Springate too.
Oh,
Because I
really?
remember, no, you know what? I met Springate at those MFW shows in Auburn, but I remember once we had yeah, he did those shows. There was an awful 10-man tag Survivor Series match we were part of that had like 8 count out finishes into it. It was
Jesus.
crazy. And then there was one time where it was ask Steve Cruz about it. He'll tell you. Him and I were talking about how bad it was during the match as we're doing it in the corner. It was great times. But there was another time like uh there was somebody here in this may have been around 2006 7 ish, but I think it was called oh god, what was the place in Syracuse? It was in like the warehouse. Springgate, Derek, the Steves.
Oh,
It was like was it CW?
no, it was,
I can't
oh,
think
what
of
the
the name of this.
hold on, I know this one. It was it was like the SWA?
Oh no, what happened? Was it SWA? What happened to my
Oh,
video? Oh no.
yeah, did you turn off your
This is a
camera?
shitty six. No, I'm just sitting here. I was just oh god, this is shitty. Hold on. What happened? I broke it. Hold on. Let me try this here. I feel like I'm at work right now. Hey guys, I just came off of a 12-hour work shift before doing this, and like my brain is fried, and I have oh there we go, Pat. I
Hey,
fixed
you're
it.
back.
That's my work tech support expertise coming in. Oh, there we go. Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was like
UWA. Why did I just think
Superstars
of
of Wrestling or something.
UWA?
Yeah, it was UWA. That's what it was. UWA.
Yeah, wasn't it like yeah, UW? Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say. Yeah, like
yeah.
uh. So basically, one of the guys was making gear, and a couple of people I guess ordered gear from the Syracuse area. So they said, "Hey, I got your gear. I can bring it up to you guys." And they're like, "Hey, bring a carload of people." So it was like Johnny Swift, Tiger Smith, Brian Eminon, Shane the Pain Murphy, and myself driving from Rochester to Buffalo. And when we got to the show, Springgate's like, "Okay, well, we'll put you two in a tag match with these guys. You two could do a singles match, but I'm gonna wrestle you." And he pointed to me, and I'm like, "Why? Why am I getting these treatments?" And him and I did a match, nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary, just a basic match, and um, I mean, it was fine, and like, it's just amazing that like out of 5 people, and this isn't the only time it's happened, but like the promoter or the booker's like, I'm gonna look at you and I'm gonna work with you. And this has happened multiple times. I don't know what it was about me. Maybe it's that, hey, it's a big guy, I can get a real easy match there. And um, who knows? But that's my first time ever in the ring with Spree, it was like 06, 07. And here we go. We 10 years later, or I don't know how many years later, 5, 6, 7 years later, we're doing it again.
Yeah, I've had similar situations in some places. Like the first time I did In Your Face, I was there, rode along. I was with Kevin Graham, and they looked at me, they're like, "You, we need you. You're the guy we
Do
need." And then
You
I
did
was,
In Your Face?
yeah, I did a couple In Your Face shows. My first one, I wrestled Hoss.
Oh boy. Oh my god, that just reminded me of a story that we could talk about.
Oh, World of Hurt.
Yes. Yes, the World of Hurt story with Oz.
Okay, so um I guess the precursor to that. So yeah, so the first time I met Haas, I rode In Your Face. I was with like Sully and Loca, and um it was me and Graham. And we get there, and Haas just came back to wrestling, and he was a big baby, and they wanted him to wrestle a heel. I looked more like a heel than Kevin. So now,
Mhm.
granted, at the time I was smaller. So at this time I'm probably like 280, maybe 290. This is early on in my career. And I don't know if anyone's familiar with Haas. He's an older gentleman. I'm not gonna say he's ancient, but he was older than me. And like I said, he just came back to wrestling. Um, Probably about my height. I'm probably a little taller than him, but we get to the back, we're talking, we're going over stuff, and he's going over obviously, and he wants to beat me with a power bomb. And I'm just like, okay, sure, why not? So we did the match, and he beats me with a power bomb, and I go up, and it looks good, and everything's great. So I go in the back, and I don't remember their names. I just remember somebody who was in charge. It was a guy and his wife, um, and they came up to me, and they're like, "Holy shit! Like you took that power bomb really well. You made him look like really good. Like how'd you get up for that power bomb? How'd you do that?" And I got like all this praise for this power bomb. And the reason why I was able to get up for this power bomb is because only like a couple weeks earlier we're doing power bombs and training, and Ted Stillwell had to give me a power bomb. So I got really good at getting my ass up.
What
So
year was this?
this, see, I had my first singlet. So I'm gonna say it had to be like 2011, maybe 2012 at the latest.
I think I was done with In Your Face at that point.
Yeah, I don't think I saw you there. I don't remember a whole heck of
Yeah.
a. I remember seeing one dude, instead of putting baby oil on, he was spraying Pam cooking spray on himself. I remember just staring at him and it's being like, "What the fuck?"
Okay.
And he's
Yeah.
just like, "It works
I
better."
I refuse to take bookings after my last show there.
Yes, Pam. Yes, cooking
Yeah.
spray.
I don't know for sure, but I'm wondering if it was Ian. Was it Ian Daniels? Possibly. He was kind of a kooky guy who would do stuff like that if he needed to.
He was one of the champions. He was um uh what was his gimmick? I think he had some sort of like freaking like Trojan skirt gimmick or something. No,
I
yeah,
think it's
Roman.
Roman Dominguez.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I want to say he can't. I want to say they started towards my tail end of In Your Face so because you only did it when it was in like the Whitehall, like Albany area.
I did one show there, and I think I did one other show for him that was in some armory where I did some triple threat match against like Fox Vineyard and somebody else. But it was in a.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I was there with you at that one.
The
Was that you?
Armory. I know World of Hurt was at an armory.
No, no. This is definitely different. This is definitely In Your Face. Was it in your? Was it?
Because was it just you and I?
I don't think I was. I don't think I was booked. I think I showed up again and I got another booking. But I could have swore because I could have swore like we left with a bad taste in our mouth for some reason. I could have swore I was with you.
Because
I re-
so this is my issue.
okay.
This is why I say it in your Facebook. When I first started in your face, like, and they're in Vermont because Vermont didn't have an athletic commission,
Yep.
and they were running at a Holiday Inn, so they booked a carload of us. Drake Evans wanted me specifically, and again, I don't know why. I don't think I've ever interacted with Drake, but he was very high on me, and he goes, "I really want to use you." Now, he brought me in, and I rode up with a couple other people. We were able to get a room at a very reduced rate. So it only wound up being like maybe $10 or $15 per person. And I think it was me and one other person shared a room. It wasn't bad, but they paid me pretty well, like very well for what I did that night. And I wrestled big. Did I wrestle? Who did I forgot who? You know what? I wrestled. I think I wrestled CJ Scott on that show. In my first ever. And then they're like, "Hey, we got some big plans for you." They did really well. And they always took good care of me. And then when they started doing Albany area, it's a little bit closer. Cool, I'd go up there. But what I used to do was I'd bring them students. I'd be like, "Hey, listen, guys, here's the deal. Um, you guys don't know how to get your bookings. I'll teach you guys how to network. I'll teach you guys how to, get bookings, how to negotiate, how to work with everything." And they said, "Here's what we'll do. If you could do this for us, you bring us to your shows, you drive us, but we'll pay for the gas, we'll pay for the tolls, and we'll buy you dinner. Because if it wasn't for you getting us the work and you doing the drive in your car, we couldn't get to these shows." So I'm like, I think that's a fair trade off at that point. You're paying me and my gas, you just don't want to do the drive. And I had a bigger car, which is fine, whatever, not a big deal. My last show, me was it? Who was it? I want to say it was me and Dick tagged up, and we had two matches in one night because two people, um, not gonna say their names. I'm gonna omit it. But two people got hurt and they didn't want to make the show, which meant I think it was Dick Justice and myself versus Matt Milan and Jordan Lennox at one point in the match. And then Dick and I went on to wrestle the tag champs later that night. So we did two matches in one night. And when they got the envelope at the end of the night for all of us, it was like $50 for five people. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm getting paid $5 per match. Mind you, the two guys that weren't coming in were making like $50 each, baby. So they had an extra $100. I'm like, you couldn't take some of their money from them not showing and throw us a little bit extra for saving your ass and giving you your tag title match that you were heavily advertising. Because if we didn't do it, you would have had somebody to wrestle your tag champs. And they're like, "Nah, you're good with the 50." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm not doing this anymore." And because it wasn't worth it.
No.
We were paying like, you remember my Trailblazer.
Yes.
We were paying like $80 in gas plus tolls. They weren't breaking even. And like, it wasn't fair for us to do that drive and do that stuff. It was awful. And like, the fact that like they had the extra money, they could have thrown us an extra 20, $25, and they
Mhm.
still would have had money. Even they saved at least $100 by the other guys not coming to give us part of it for helping you out and doing that and show some appreciation.
Right.
And at that point, I said, "Yeah, I'm just not going to bother with it anymore, not at all."
Yeah, it looks like my last match with them was July 14th, 2012. Drake Evans defeated Elite Terrell, Fox Vineyard, Punishment events like Whitehall, New York. Looks like this was a month after I was in Wadsworth, New York for FPW Extreme Heat.
Yeah, FPW. That's the time period to talk about. But it's funny though, because like that I in your face story that I was just telling with you, leads us to Whitehall for was it Whitehall for World of Hurt?
E- yeah, let me double check. I want
Because
to say yes. Let
because
me
I
see
you're the one that
here.
got me the booking. I think you did all the legwork.
Yeah, so from what I remember correctly, somebody hit me up about it, and it was like their big Royal Rumble type show.
Yeah.
Um, so I think like they had like a bunch of matches on there, but all the matches on the card were like 5 minutes or something like that. And so I can't remember if it was like a well, we can pay you for a car load, so fill as many car, fill up the car as much as you can. But whatever it was, I don't know if I just talked them into doing the car or what it was, but I'm pretty sure we got a car load for like a certain price. And I think
Hmm.
at the time it was like 100 or something. And so it was you, me, Freddie,
And
was it
Dick.
Kevin?
It was Dick.
Dick. Okay, I was gonna say Dick. So I'm trying to find it on here.
I
Uh,
remember that. And it's actually funny because I'll tell you why I'm surprised that they did you. Well, let me ask you this while you're looking it up.
huh?
Did when they asked you for the Carlo, did you tell them that I was one of the ones coming up?
I would assume so. I'm pretty sure once I figured out who it was, I'd let them know. I'm like, okay, here's who I got coming with us.
Okay.
I don't think I would have
I'll
surprised them.
Okay, and I'll tell you why it's funny in a second because I got a great story about that. Um, but I remember it was us five. We took my car because I had the biggest car
Yeah.
out of the group. Um, and I remember the I remember Hoss yelling at you guys. That was such a fun moment. That was such a fun moment.
So we got there and it was one of those like weird ass locker rooms. It wasn't like I want to say it was the most lively, energetic locker rooms or whatever. And so the locker room's like downstairs in like the basement area. So like the main room is like kind of like this makeshift gym. There's some free weights on the along the walls and mirror, couple like cardio machines or whatever. And then there's some rooms out in there. And so we're in a room and um I don't know, like everyone's like really quiet and withdrawn, and no one's like really in that great of a mood. And Dick and I were like talking about something and joking about something, and then I think it was something like I stole his nightstick or something. And
Yes.
so Dick, like, we do like this Benny Hill chase where he like chases me around a pillar and then back in the locker room, and we're just kind of yelling stupid stuff. And we popped a bunch of the boys, and everyone thought it was funny and blah blah. So we go in the room and we're laughing, and we're just standing there. All of a sudden, we hear the door slam shut, and here's Hoss standing there, and he starts fucking cutting a promo on us, calling us unprofessional assholes, and we're gonna cost them the venue because we're gonna break shit, and they got cameras everywhere and they're watching us, and if we break anything they're going to lose the venue and cost them money, and they're going to take it on our ass, and just going on and on and on. And Dick and I are just looking at each other, and we're just like, what? We're just like,
Hmm.
we it's a fucking gym. Like, it's not like we were throwing weights around. We are just like kind of like fucking running around and back in the locker room, ha ha. And so he cuts his fucking promo on us, saying like, it's his locker room, he's the leader, he's in charge, what he says go. And if he says like we're not getting paid, and our shit gets thrown out in the street, like that's what's gonna happen. So he's like, one more fuck up and you guys are out of here. And Dick and I are like, what the fuck ever, I don't care. We already something happened that night already where all of us are just like, we're never coming back. We were already so upset about shit that we're just like, we're not coming back here, it's
Really?
not worth it.
I had no idea about that part.
Yeah.
Because I had a great time.
No, up until that point, man, I think I can't remember. Now that night, I found it here. It was February 28th, 2014, Whitehall, New York, World of Hurt Rumble Royale. I wrestled Kyle Bam Bam Badger before we
Yeah.
did the Rumble, and I liked the match. It was a good match. Everything was fine, but I just remember like us being me and Dick and Freddie just kind of just being like, "What the fuck ever." I don't know if it ended up costing more money than it was worth or whatever, but I'm still
So
echoing?
I remember the one thing that we hated. So like we had the locker room downstairs, but then we had to walk up like this crazy like ramp and then go outside and then walk around inside the main building to go
Yes.
outside. I mean, to get inside for the show. That part we're like, okay, this is going to be a little iffy because it was kind of raining out, so we didn't want to get our stuff all dirty. I loved it because I had like the craziest squash match ever. I just destroyed. I think it was Eric Alden. He was
Okay.
doing like this crazy, like crazy Steve style, and I just beat the hell out of it just at his request. And then I said, "Yeah, I can't do the Rumble. That makes no sense. If you're trying to book me as this monster, why would I go into a Rumble and get eliminated? I should kill
Right.
everybody in there and win. It doesn't make sense if you just had me demolish your brother, Eric, like this. There's no sense." And Erica goes, "Yeah, that I agree. Him and I should not be in this because he killed me." So I didn't have to do the Rumble. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, he got off easy.
Um, and then when we went to go get paid, I forgot who it was. I know we got paid at least 100 originally was I think what we had agreed upon.
Mhm.
But the guy that gave us the money, I forgot who it was. It was somebody that used to be affiliated with In Your Face, and they're like, "Hey, is everything good? Is everything great? Are you okay? Did you get paid well?" I'm like, I just want to say thank you because you and I worked In Your Face at the same time, and you treated me much better here in this one time than they did towards the end of my time there. And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I told him the story about the we saved their ass. He goes, "Hold on, give me 1 second." He came back and he gave us another $100. He goes, "Let me make it up to you." So we left with like 200 for the carload instead of the original 100. I'm like, okay, I can come back and do this. And then they never called.
Yeah, I do remember that. The way I remember it was because after Haas cut his promo, like we were like more pissed, and I wish I could remember this guy's name. I could picture him. He was I won't say
He had
short.
like
He's shorter
I
than
think
me.
he had like I think he had like a suit on or something, or at least a blazer or something. So I kind
Um,
of
well,
remember.
the guy who came in after Haas was one of the wrestlers. I know him from like Dynasty and stuff. So he's like an Albany guy. But he kind of came in. He's like, hey man, just so you know, like fuck that guy. He's like, he's not a locker room
Yes,
leader. He's not in charge. He doesn't know anything. He was like,
yes.
just fuck him. Don't believe anything he says. You guys aren't in trouble. Nobody cares. Like, don't like fucking let him. And we were like, Dick and I were like, thanks, we appreciate it. We were still like really fucking annoyed, really fucking agitated. But then I do remember us getting the extra money, and I think someone might have said like it was because of that and two. So I just think
It could have
it was
been.
a lot of the bad taste in our mouth, and they made it up to us, and we all pulled like double duty. Well, except for you. Um, so yeah, they ended up paying us more, and everything worked out great. And I think at that point we're like, okay, I guess we can come back, whatever. But yeah, we never
Yeah.
got the call again.
Oh, it's great. It's funny though, because if you mentioned this, here's a story that's a blast from the past for me. Um, there was a that was 2014. You said right around
Yep.
probably 2006, 7, 8 ish. There was a Fed up here, ADK. Well, up there, I should say ADK Wrestling, and I got the runaround from them. Like they rented the NEW license for one of their first shows, and they had a. It was after. It was a day. It was a Sunday. Or no, it was a Saturday show because 2CW had a Friday night show at the Pastime. I rode
Mhm.
up with Ash for that. Saturday we had to do the ADK show in I think it was in Queensberry at a roller rink. And I wasn't booked on the show, but when I got there was a lot of communication issues. And I guess it was supposed to be like Sandman and Just Incredible in a tag match against Jimmy Jack Cash and somebody else
Oh, damn.
in a Singapore Cane tag match as the main event. Well, I wasn't booked on the show. I just rode up because I was part of the NEW crew and I was already in the area from 2CW the night before. And Sandman goes, "Yeah, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to show up." So the promoter's like, "Hey, have you ever done hardcore?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you want to be in this match?" I'm like, "Sure." So then it became me and Just Incredible versus Jimmy Jack Cash and his partner in a Singapore Cane match. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Now we're at a roller rink. Now the ring is and the actual roller rink and all that stuff. The locker room is probably my favorite locker room I think I've ever been in. It was in the laser tag arena, so we got to sit up in the laser tag area, and I was able to use their um, There are pillars and all that stuff is like my personal locker room to hang stuff and put my bag on. It was great. I get dressed, I get changed. Porter comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I got to change a plan. There's a problem." I'm like, "What's up?" He goes, "Just Incredible's not going to be here." I'm like, "Oh, okay. So who do you want me to team with?" He goes, "Yeah, you're off the show.
Oh.
But don't worry. I'm going to replace you with this other tag team." Okay,
Oh.
that's I'm still off the show. I'm not worried about that. You just made me get dressed and checked for nothing. He goes, I still want you on my show though. There's gonna be a match of JP Black. God bless that man. I love
I
him.
love JP Black.
Oh my god, JP Black is the man. I wish he was here listening to this right now, but I know he's not because he's JP Black. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how this stuff works. It was JP Black versus Pierre the Beast Vachon. JP's gonna win. Pierre's gonna beat the piss out of him afterwards, and I have to make the save for JP. Okay, I can do that. That's fine. And the promoter looks at me, goes, "Kid, when you make the save, look at the Titantron. I got something for you." I'm like, oh, okay, okay, here we go.
Did he really call it the Titantron?
Yes, he
Damn.
did. I run out, make the save. Pierre powders me and JP hug, and then Pierre's like, "So like, here's the ring, here's the entranceway, there's the Titantron." So me and JP are in the ring. Pierre's on the outside looking at us, yelling, and all of a sudden we hear, "Boys, boys, boys!" We look at the Titantron. It's a promo of Abyss, and Abyss is challenging Pierre Vachon and myself to a triple threat match at the next show, saying who's the it's the battle of the big men. So I'm sitting there like, and this is all like I'm improvising all my stuff here because I don't know what's going on. I had no idea any of this is going to happen. So I get the back. He goes, "You like that, kid? Triple threat main event, battle of the big men." Mind you, this ring broke in a fatal four-way cruiserweight match with like Azrael. I think Cheech and Claudia were in there, and I'm like, they broke the ring. I'm like, you really want us three people to be in that ring? They broke the bottom rope, and they weigh like those weighed less combined than all three of us. It's like, what do you want us to do? He's like, it's gonna be awesome, man. I'm gonna send you a confirmation email. About a week and a half before the show, I haven't heard anything. So I email him. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Let me know. I need a plan." He emails me back saying, "Oh man, there's a family emergency. Show is postponed till April, but don't worry, I'm going to book you. I got you, kid. I got you." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." April comes, I start emailing them or Facebooking them. I'm like, "Listen," or not Facebook, MySpace. Jesus
MySpace.
Christ. Oh yeah. Thank you, Tom, from MySpace for this here. I start MySpace them saying, "Hey, what's going on? Do you need me? Let me know, because if not, I'm going to take another show." You're not responding. Finally, I get a response that says, "Shut the fuck up. You're nothing but a locker room cancer. We don't want you around. You're awful. Go back to Rochester." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm already in Rochester. I got nowhere to go. But okay, I won't do this. A couple years later, we're at an In Your Face show. I blow out my knee in like the battle royal they did. I'm hobbling. I'm on pain medication. I've been drinking. I can't walk. I'm sitting at a Denny's. I'm telling this story to a couple people there, and I say, fuck that guy. I think his name was Mike Duckett. Was the promoter for this 80K. And there's a guy sitting next to me. He goes, "So what did you say?" I said, "Fuck." I said, "Fuck Mike Duckett." He goes, "I'm Mike Duck," and I'm like, "Oh, well, you don't look the same. Why'd you fuck? Why'd you fucking treat me like that, kid? Why'd you treat me like that? What the fuck is this?" And I showed him the message. I'm like, "Look at this." He goes, "Oh man, that wasn't me. That was the Aldens. That was all the
What?
Aldens." And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "I'm so sorry. I never knew they said that to you. I was wondering what happened to you. All this other stuff, yada yada yada." But then you tell me that I'm working for World You're Hurt, which I know is run by the Aldens. I remember I'm sitting in Jonathan Ash's driveway waiting to go get Quaker steak chicken wings on a Thursday night because I had to pick them up. And Shane Alden calls me and goes, "Hey, man, I'm so glad you're coming into World of Hurt. I'm so glad you're doing this. I got this great angle where you're going to wrestle my brother. You're going to kill him." Like, this is a far cry from like almost 7, 8 years ago when you told me I'm a fucking cancer to wrestling and to go like kill myself and all this stuff. And I just sat there. I'm like, what? I at that point, again, what am I gonna? I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna care. If you're gonna pay me, you're gonna pay me. I'll go hang out with some friends. I'll come up there. I'll wrestle your brother. See what happens. You want to try some funny shit? I can defend myself. The guy in Binghamton found that out the hard way. So it's just funny that that happens after hearing that story.
Dude, I don't know what the hell it is, man. Like my condolences, my apologies if I offend anybody with this, but what the fuck is with the Albany wrestling territory, man? Like I swear to God, man, like the weirdest, most fucked up, far out stories all come from Albany, either with the promoters, the promotions, the fans, or the fucking wrestlers themselves. It always like comes back to like that Albany area. Now, I've had some great times in Albany. I have some great times with
Hmm.
Albany wrestlers. Like, I'm not shitting on them. I'm just saying, man, out of all the fucking places I've been, that one is like by far the fucking weirdest. And, you know,
It's something.
Garrett, he's from the area. He's an Albany guy. And I talk to him all the time. I'm almost like, what the fuck is up with your area? He's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Just like, I mean, there are some egos. Like I've definitely seen some dudes with egos. Not that no other area has egos, but I've seen some like pretty bad ones from there. But like it's just like that carny, crazy. I thought it said egos too. uh,
That thing's kicking in right about
I'll say,
now.
is that gummy kicking in there?
Oh, I'm feeling all sorts of tingly. I'm ready to go for another couple hours.
um,
I'm like Greg Valentine. I'm a slow starter, then I get warmed up.
so I guess we're gonna backtrack a little bit because we didn't even get to kind of talk about uh, Eric M. Timmons because now that
Oh,
I think
fuck.
about it,
I forgot all about that topic.
yeah, we were going somewhere. We got fucking way off. But I just wanted to talk about it because like it didn't dawn on me until like you said something earlier about how like you had to be the man with the most fucking gimmicks in 2CW because you came in as like just Super Beast. Then you were like the animal killer crazy guy. Then you're Eric M. Uh, Timmons, and then you're Eric Muhammad Timmons. Like, so I guess before we get to there, so we talked about the EMT. You started doing that. Was Was that the beginning of your Shitty Six? I keep saying I'm the original Shitty Six because it was me, Spring Eight, and Graham versus the Steves and Loca for like a year and a half straight. So I always say like we were like the unofficial Shitty Six before there was a Shitty Six. Um,
I will say this: you were probably like the dark match of the Shitty Six.
okay, I'll take
You're
that.
gonna, you're gonna, you're like the
We're the
dark match
Warmack Act.
because you're gonna start to see what happens. You were the filler spot, but then you guys evolve to the main card in your own respective roles. For us, it was, and I know I've probably said this before. I think when I was talking with Lovins, on his thing of like the whole point of the Shitty Six, it wasn't to like you know put ourselves over, and it wasn't the
Mhm.
fact that we're trying to punish the fans. It's just like Josh, like, hey, here's a group of guys that I need on my show because they're good people to have around. They help us out. It gives us that cool down match, and they're not going to complain about it. They're going to just do it.
Well, some people did.
Well, a lot of people did, myself included. But we made the best out of it there, or at least I did. I don't want to speak on anybody else's behalf, but I know at least me, we had it for so long. But there was, I mean, we had Jim Duggan in the mix at a couple
Mhm.
points there. So like anybody could be rotated in and out, but we were like the mainstays of it. So you guys like the dark act of it. Once it was ready to go big time, that's where we came in and you guys were the main eventers to us, essentially. Um
So the original Shitty Six was that just like the Steve's Loca, and then it was like you, PD, and then Dick, and then eventually became you, PD, and uh, Amin.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably how it worked. Cause I
yeah,
remember, cause I was with Dewey and Dick. Dick started to blow up, and rightfully so, because he had
yeah.
a fantastic. We had a fantastic character and presentation about him, and we had Milan who was doing Milan X with Hameen. The problem is, and it's not the easiest thing to do
Well, it's a
when
lot
you're
more
not used
difficult
to
when
it.
you're doing that and you fucking bleach your hair blonde without telling anybody.
Well, correct, but at the same point, it's like he wasn't into it.
No.
And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a hard thing to get over. But I looked at him like, why not? If I could be a makeshift EMT and I could have the EMT physical fitness challenge on a show and all this other stuff, why can't I be a terrorist? I can have fun with this. Like this is because I love improv. Improv is one of my favorite things, and I'm very surprised I never did improv class or anything. I love to improvise a lot, and I love to do it with strangers in random settings, just because I want to see how they
Yes,
react.
you do.
I absolutely, you know this. I
Yes.
love to see how they react, and I love being able to control those emotions. So I'm like, well, if I'm a terrorist, I know for a fact I can get emotions out of people because now I could say things in the realm of a character that I can't really get in trouble for too much, but I could see if it works. And I embraced it because I'm like, I mean, if Josh is going to give me the ball and I mean, I got to rub elbows and have matches and be with people that compliment me and I can learn from. At least I could do is at least try for them, and it just kind of blossomed. And at that point, I don't want to say I'm a savior or I'm a guru, but like I was the guy that's like, all right, guys, we're doing the same match again, same time, same spot, same people. What can we do different than last time? What can we do different this time? How can we make ourselves stand out there? And I think that's what Josh and Strangler saw. I know Hameen did because Hameen goes, "Hey, I'll let you call the match, brother. You do what you got to do. You put it together." But I took pride in that. I want to see how can I make us stand out because I feel bad that the crowd has to watch at the same time, like the same exact match, the same people, the
Mhm.
same outcome every time. But how can we change it up so that they're surprised by something? And that's when it actually happened in Oswego. I wrestled Nevaeh, and then we did the turn the next day in Potsdam. But I had to have Dick do the match. I couldn't wrestle. I was hurt. I got hurt in Oswego during that match with Nevaeh, and not many
Damn, she
people know
stiffed you.
that.
Uh,
No, it wasn't her. It wasn't her. Um, we did the spot. We went to the outside. I threw her in the ring. I went to go get it, and my knee buckled,
ooh.
and I felt a pop. I'm like, shit. This is my repaired knee. Now this is what really hurt it. I'm sitting in a chair, or I'm sitting on the bleachers in Oswego at the Armory, just like this. Mr. 440 himself, Johnny Moose, walks by me. He trips. He falls. And as he falls, he's like this. Boom. And he puts his hand to brace himself and he pushes my knee all the way to the left.
Oh,
And I feel
fucking
rip, rip,
course he
rip.
did.
I'm like, fuck that. I just felt the muscles just tear. Um, and this
Sorry
was the
about
night we
that,
also went
buddy.
the night at Studley's house. And I only got one Excite booking out of it thus far. I say thus far because who knows what the future holds. But this was the night we all stayed at Studley's house, where there was like 12 of us in his living room. It was a big meaty fest in his whole living room of us staying there, and I couldn't walk the next day. I had to have Ash drive my car. I said, "Listen, I can't walk. I gotta put my leg up." I asked Doctor Dan, can you look? He goes, "Yeah, your knee is swollen, but it's probably just torn and all that stuff." And I had to wrestle the match half geared up because I couldn't get my regular tights or gears on and stuff like that because I couldn't stretch my leg, but I had to do the turn on Dick to join Hameen. So I thank Josh for that, at least letting me do it that way because I didn't have to do anything except for stand on the apron, which I could do that. He got me stairs for that show too. I don't know why we got stairs, but he got me stairs because there was no way I can get on the apron without it.
Yeah, you're definitely one of Josh's favorites there. Because you're a good
It
dude,
warms my
and
heart.
that's
It
why
warms my
you
heart.
don't you
Thank
don't give a
you.
shit about the other shit. So that
Mhm.
also kind of something I want to talk about because during all this, like you talk about your role, your job, you're always easygoing, you always do all the stuff, and you know you weren't. I wouldn't say you were on like a hot winning streak at all. Until one day in Utica, New York, that all changed.
Ooh, I remember this day.
This,
Was this the match with Hameen?
yes, was Piper. It was a show with Piper, but I can't remember if he was
Yeah,
involved in it.
this was this. No, Piper was not involved in this one.
Okay.
I remember this day very well. Oh shit, I know why you brought this up now. Now,
Yep.
now it just clicked.
Yep. Yep.
So we went to Mother's Cupboard that day. I think.
Yep.
Pretty sure we did.
Oh god.
I got the frittata, and now mind you,
Well, a bunch of us did.
well, we had a show the night before though,
Yep.
and this is the part that baffles me. So on the way back from that show, the only thing that was open around that area of Syracuse that or Cicero that we were staying in, um, was the McDonald's, that shitty McDonald's. So I remember I got like two McChickens, a double cheeseburger, and a fry at like 3:30 in the morning, knowing that knowing that we were going to Mother's Cupboard, but I hadn't eaten, so I needed to get something in my system. We went to Mother's Cupboard, like, I'm not hungry, but I'm going to order the frittata. And I only ordered the frittata because if I ordered the eggs, the sausage, and all that stuff that I wanted like a side, it would have cost more than the frittata. So I said, "Oh fuck it, I want to save that $1.95, and I'm going to order the
well,
frittata."
what people may not know, and Beast is downplaying this a ton. If people aren't aware with Mother's Cupboard or this frittata, you need to go look up Man versus Food from the Food Channel and find the Mother's Cupboard episode, because he ordered the motherfucking frittata challenge, which
Mm-hmm.
was a frittata the size of a baby cow with 2 pieces of Texas toast. Now,
Yeah.
I got it. I think Strangler may have got it. I know some
Oh,
of
he
us
got it.
did. And I
He got
think,
it.
yeah. And I got maybe halfway through mine without even touching the toast. But Super Beast is like, I'm going to do it. And Beast, did you do it?
Well, that was my second time doing it. The first time I failed miserably.
Okay. Well,
The
on this
first
particular
time,
occasion,
yeah, the first time I got halfway through and I had to tap out. This time I'm like, I'm not hungry, but it's still cheaper than the other items to put together, so I'm gonna do it. And somehow I finished the goddamn thing. I think it was just we kept talking and talking and talking. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep eating this, and then I'm like, oh wow, it's gone. I did not expect that. So I'm shocked. I'm like, okay, here we go. That's cool. And then they're like, oh, put some stuff on a plate. So I put EMT2CW on the plate, took the picture, and it's still on the wall there from what I've been told.
yeah. So, is this 20? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna.
I'm trying to I think I might have a picture of the frittata on my phone somewhere. That man always loves a picture of his food. Where is it here? Oh, there's nothing wrong with the Echo. The Echo's great. I can tell you if it's an Echo. Madame Moderator, do you have your headset on with your microphone?
For some reason my one microphone keeps coming back, and let me just do.
I had to troubleshoot this at my job earlier with some trainees. They didn't understand how a microphone worked. Baffled the fuck out of me. Baffled me.
Here we go. Boom.
Okay.
That's it right there.
You got
See
it.
that?
Yeah.
See
Okay.
that thing?
Beautiful. Look at that. I guess. I mean, I'm not there, but I'm gonna take your word for it. It sounds better now. Um. But yeah, I
So
finished that frittata. Yeah, and I was very surprised. I did not expect it.
that is the host of Man versus Food holding that frittata challenge there. That hopefully everybody can see now. Um,
There it is.
that
There
I
it
mean
is.
the bread on it is a little different. Looks like he's got like 4 like
Rolls.
hamburger rolls or something. Beast had like 2
It was garlic bread.
massive Texas toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what Super Beast demolished
Mhm.
before the show in Utica that day.
Mhm.
And So I think afterwards we went back to Josh's house, and it was it his mother that intervened? Where
Yes, yes. So we went back to Josh. Okay, statute of limitations. Thank you, Josh, for letting me stay at your house all those times. It was great. It was much better than the hotel room that we stayed in once. And apologies for waking up your mom and dad one night with my snoring. And keeping the whole house awake. I was banished from the basement, so if I ever sleep at Josh's house, I get banished to the soundproof like theater room, and even then, it still can't contain my snoring. It's still crazy.
Wayne Manor.
But yeah, we went to Josh's house. Got ready as we were leaving, and I love his mom. I love Josh's mom. She was great to talk with. And she goes, "Do you like this wrestling stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's fun, I guess." She goes, "Do you win a lot?" I'm like, "No, I always lose." And she goes, "Well, why do you do it?" I'm like, "Because Josh asked me to." She goes, "I'll take care of it." I'm like, "Okay, well, we got to go." And we drive from Syracuse to Utica, get to the show, and Josh is like, "Hey, you're going over, kid." I'm like, "Oh wow, what happened?" So we came up with the angle that like Hameen beats me illegally, but then he won't stop choking me, so they reverse the decisions.
Mhm.
And I got I think that may have been my first win
I
ever
believe
at
so.
GCW.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh's mom, for telling Josh to let me win. Oh, there was also a great night because that would have been what 2015.
Let's
I think that was
see.
2015 or was it
So
14?
if that was the one with Piper, that means that was the night that Kevin and I wrestled the Christs after I wrestled Axe in Watertown. Let's see here.
Maybe it
Um,
was. Oh, excuse me. Maybe that was 2013.
let's see. Where am I? I'm in 2014.
See, I only remember this because it was during the Pier 6 days. It
Okay,
was
so we're
definitely,
definitely in Pier 6 days with this.
yeah, it had to been 2013 because Pier 6 was around when I wrestled or not when I wrestled, when I worked at GameStop.
Okay, yeah, it looks like if it's the one I'm thinking of where we wrestled the Chris, it's July 20th, 2013, 2CW
Hmm.
Bagpipes and
Yep.
Boilermakers.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, yeah, that was 2013 because it was during
Yeah.
the Pier 6 days, and I remember this is how fucked up my brain is right now. Like, I don't know that specifically because of the dates or anything. I just remember it had to have been during Pier 6 days because that was the summer of Grape Aid. And we brought we had 224 cases of Grape Aid that we brought that weekend for us to drink. Do you
Yes.
remember that? The Grape
Yes.
Aid. And I remember cutting a promo before the match
Yep.
with Hamid about how great America is and God bless GM and God bless Chrysler and the frittata that I just ate. And like, the crowd started to chant frittata,
Yep.
frittata. And I said, after I beat your ass, Hamid, we're going to have a tall, cold Grape Aid. And then I got a Grape Aid chant.
Yep.
And it was a great time. And then he beat me, and then he kept choking me with, I think, a flag. And then all of a sudden, the referee's like, "No, we're reversed this season." I'm like, "Oh my god, I got my first win during the summer of Grape Aid. I'm gonna have to run Arizona and see if I can be a sponsor. Let them sponsor me."
So looking into this, you know what else was in 2013?
A lot of good things.
Yes.
I
This is what.
remember. I mean, I don't know what you're gonna go with this, but let's
Oh,
see.
Daddy, we're talking about the myth, the legend, the weekend that is Boonville.
Oh, Boonville was a great time.
Wasn't that just amazing?
Oh my god.
So
Oh my god. First of all, thank you, Madame Moderator, for helping to keep store 2490 alive when I went to Boonville. That was a hell of a fucking weekend for a couple
holy shit.
reasons.
It's it was like the most perfect thing ever. So everyone knows I'm from Central New York in Oneida, and right by Oneida. So in the wrestling world, Rome, New York is like my hometown market. That's where I'm the hometown boy, and that's where you always see Oneida Zone on the poster and shit. So one summer in 2013, we got the hookup, the Boonville Lumberjack Festival. So it was an all weekend thing, but pretty much just Friday and Saturday. I don't think we did Sunday. So basically, what we did is we came in, we set up a ring in the middle of like this like field thing, and I think for Friday and Saturday we did like four 30-minute wrestling shows throughout the day or something like that. We just have like a
Did
match or
you
two,
did you
and
wrestle
we're
on Friday?
was it Friday? Well, hang on, let me see.
Because I only had the Saturday show because I had to work part of the day on Friday. Because I remember for me, I oh, you know what it was?
Yeah, it was just the 16th to 17th. And
Yeah, because I wanted to do all. Because my theory was, Josh, if you're doing these spot shows, I was going to try to get out there and do them. Because I'm like, well, this is the time for me to get a singles match, and not for nothing, I kind of wanted to show the fans that, like, hey, I'm not just this guy in the shitty match. I can actually do some stuff if I'm able to in a certain match. But I remember the way my hours were at work, which were awful, because I basically lived in that store 24/7. I had to open up the store, do all the banking, and get all that stuff done, and then I think I left at 11 o'clock to make Boonville for the last show where Duggan wrestled Hameen,
mhm.
but I didn't get to wrestle until Saturday.
Oh, that's a bummer. It was still a great weekend. Like I was there all
Mhm.
weekend. I wrestled. Let me see how many matches it was. So I wrestled Dick Justice, Jay Freddy, Guerrero Loco, Cage, and then I wrestled uh Team CK in the big main
The big
show.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you did pretty much all the shows there.
Yep.
I got there just in time to do the lumberjack match of Hameen versus Duggan, and
Were you
then
there for the
we,
lumberjack tug of war?
of course, who do you think helped initiate it? Who do you think was the one that said, "Let's do this"?
Let's do it.
That's like I said, like when I see shit like that going down, I'm like, yes, we had like. There's no thought in my mind like we're gonna get beat or we're gonna get destroyed. It's just this is going to be a story to tell, and that's how I just want to live my life with that stuff. Like I love to improv. When they said we need a team, I'm like, we're going. I'll find people. I'm signing up right now. Come with me if you want. And I remember we did the tug of war. We lost
They cheated,
badly.
but they cheated.
They had like those cleats or something, the
No,
spikes on the
remember because
ground.
it was
And
supposed to be like four guys and a girl or something like that. So the last
yeah,
person on the team was supposed to be a girl. So we had Jeremy Bikes' wife be at the end of ours. I think it was her, and then they had some lumberjack dressed up as a woman. So they
oh,
didn't
I
have a
didn't know
woman
that.
on their team.
So we win by default.
Yes. Yep.
Fuck yeah.
They cheated.
Fuck yeah! I want a tug of war. I also remember that day for two reasons. One of them is wholesome. One of them is not. So the not so wholesome moment was, you remember how they had the rinks up and then there was like the canopy tent for the locker room.
Yes.
So I'm walking past the ring. I'm going to walk in the locker room, and the first thing I see is Jim Duggan's penis. I go to walk. He goes, oh, and he just drops his pants and starts to get dressed. I'm like, oh, there's Jim Duggan's penis. Talk about a 2x4.
I
Oh.
think I saw his is in Watertown.
Yeah, I
I've
I
seen it
remember,
before.
like, I walked
He
through, like,
doesn't
"Here we
wear he
go."
doesn't wear underwear. He just wears jeans. So
God,
he drops his
oh,
pants and there it
yeah,
is.
and that I have nothing wrong with it, I
No,
respect
hey,
that, and, the more wholesome one also involves Jim Duggan, because so we had those food vouchers, and we were able to get
yep,
a shit ton of them.
yep.
Like, you're supposed to get, like, 2 per person, we had, like, 20 per person.
Yeah, we were like hoarding them. We're like, oh, there's more of them.
Mhm.
Just I think like Colin or something like showed up and was like handing more out to
Yeah.
everybody.
Because those that weren't staying or anything like that, or weren't gonna get the food, or had to leave, they're like, "Hey," I'm like, "Give me them. Give me the I'll take them. 'em. We're gonna collect them." It's like cigarettes in jail.
Yep.
You just need them. And my most wholesome moment was all of us as a group going to go get that, like, that soft serve twist ice cream with Doug. He goes, "Man, this is America. This is America. Soft serve ice cream tug of war and you guys. And I'm like, I made it. I
Yeah,
made it at the big time.
but the best part of that story is before we went and got it. So, um, a bunch of us went and we got the ice cream. We were coming back. I forgot who it was with. It was probably like me and like Dick and Tad. I forgot who I was hanging out with. But we're coming back and we're going back to the ring, and that's when we bumped into Duggan with Ben, and they just had a whole baggie of gummies, I'm assuming, because
Oh yeah.
I literally bump into Duggan and his eyes just fucking light up like Ralphie on Christmas morning. Where did you guys get those?
Yes.
Oh, if
Yes.
you just go up that way and take a left, there's a tent. Ben, we gotta go get ice cream now.
Yes. Yes. And that's when we all went to got ice cream. And it was
Yep.
such a magical moment there, and I absolutely loved it. Like, and then obviously we had the camping,
Mhm.
the giant tent. I know Sanderson and I shared a tent, and the beer pong.
Yep.
I think it was Cosmo and me as a team racking it up in beer pong against everybody else because I was cheating and nobody knew that I was cheating. And it
How
was
do you
like
cheat
so.
in beer pong?
So what I did was, so we had the big table laid out there. Our campsite was like on this side. There was another campsite there. So what I would do is when it was time for us to go, I'd go up and say, "Hey, buddy, man, give me a hug, man. You're a great man." And I would, go to hug him, and I would drop a ball into the cup. And I'm like, and Justin goes, and Justin would just do the motion like he threw it. And I'm like, "Oh shit, homeboy got it. Drink up." And like that's how we would
You
run the
fucking
table.
carny.
Yeah, that's
Holy
how we
shit.
ran. That's how we ran the table there all night long. And then, me loving the hip hop, I said, "We're gonna fucking listen to the hip hop." And I turned on my car's battery. And I was playing my iPod. They ribbed me by throwing rubber snakes at my feet, and I ran like Andre out of the Royal Rumble into my car 'cause I didn't know if it was real or not. Um, what a wonderful night!
Well,
What a wonderful night!
funny. Speaking of not real or not, so my camping story, obviously, so for those who aren't aware, I mean, this is kind of like kind of explain it, but my wife, spooky scary there, was introduced to me through Super Beast because, as I said earlier, she was working for him, so he dragged her to a local show I was on and played devil's advocate slash Cupid, and got us introduced to each other, and eventually married. So uh Beastie, we owe for that. So that weekend, like you're saying, so my girlfriend at the time was covering the store for Beast. So I'm camping out, and I'm in my tent by myself. And it was a small old tent. I didn't own one, and instead of buying one, like I borrowed my mom's boyfriend's military tent or something like that, like something he had from like the fucking like 70s. So I was like, all right, sure. And I think I packed too late, like I forgot my blanket or something. And so I was really cold because it got like that cold, like frosty, soggy, dewy type of night. And I think Ando let me borrow an extra blanket or something. But Ando, Dick, a bunch of them, they went into town and got more drunk.
Mhm.
So uh I think I they came back. I came out of my tent and I was trying to give them their I think it was his lantern back or something. And I was sick that weekend, so I couldn't really talk very well. So I get out of the tent, they walk by, I come out, and I'm holding it, but I don't have it on, so it's just pitch black. It's just me, and I'm trying to like say Ando, Ando, but I'm just going um, ah. They're drunk, and I just hear Ando turn around and go, "What the fuck is that? What is that? Are you Bigfoot? Is that Bigfoot? I don't know if you're Bigfoot, but I'm gonna run anyways." And Endo takes off running like down the camp and disappears into the woods. And I'm just like, Endo, here's your lantern. Endo? But he's fucking gone. He
I
was
never
so
heard that.
drunk. He just saw me
Oh,
standing in the mist and he thought I was Bigfoot.
oh, I never knew that story.
Yeah, that's like
Oh,
my
that's
my favorite
great.
Boonville stories. I scared the shit out
Oh,
of it. And like Dick
well,
is just
here's the
standing there
thing.
looking.
They almost got arrested a few minutes before
Yes.
that for
Yep.
stealing the tent.
Yep.
Oh, that was great.
And they almost got arrested for urinating in public.
Mhm.
And Ted Stillwell drove down the wrong side of a one-way street.
Oh, I love Ted. Oh, what a good week. I remember the other highlight of the weekend. They again, this was work related here. I didn't have great cell phone service in my area, and in that area there, and I said, guys, I'll be in Boonville. I mean, she knew where I was going because obviously I told her because she was helping to run the store. But her other like key holder quit like in the middle of his shift. And they kept trying to call me. I had like 10 missed calls, like, yo, this guy just walked out of the store and quit. I'm like, fuck, I'm so drunk right now. I shouldn't be talking to you guys like that and handling this. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm 3.5 hours away and I'm blitzed. And I'm checking my voicemails and all that stuff. And it was a great night. And then my car battery died because I was listening to so much hip hop. Oh, it's a great time. Oh, what a
Oh,
great time that was. And then
yep.
the first thing we did at like 9 o'clock in the morning because the sun came up so early. I'm like, I got no food, so I'm gonna crack another beer. I think we had 72 cans of PBI and like two bottles of like I think we had a grape and like a caramel like vodka that we just destroyed. It's good
Dude,
times.
it's probably a good thing I was still not drinking back then. Lord knows what would have happened to me if
Hmm.
I was the way I am now back then. Oh crap!
Well, during the M&O days, that was bad. I mean, that was my downfall. Was M&O like I love like nothing bad. Like I can't say anything bad about them, but I didn't. They gave I had a $400 bar tab there. I didn't realize it was that much. Me and the old man bartender just kept doing drink after drink after drink. At the end, it was a $400 bar tab. I should have been dead. There's no way I didn't have alcohol poisoning. There's no way. And he goes, "Ah, I'm just gonna rip it up, kid. You're one of the wrestlers." I'm like, oh, thank God, 'cause I did not have $400. I didn't have, and then I found out that was the deal was, if you're a wrestler, the owner who was the sponsor gives you the okay to the bartender. He just keeps letting you drink, and I ran up a $400 tab.
Man, that's bullshit. Like I remember Binghamton. There was a bar out there that was not Binghamton, Oswego. There's a bar out there that was like one of those not a sponsor, but it was like a place everyone went to after the show. So I used to go there with like Studley and stuff and just to eat. And like I'd just be drinking soda. And I remember one time I got the bill and it was fucking super expensive because I had like five sodas or something and they didn't do free refills and I had no idea. So I had like all these fucking sodas and they're just like because normally bars they don't charge like for the refills because there's like a designated driver and they want them
Yeah.
to not drink, but not this place, man. They charged me like $3 or $4 for every glass of fucking soda I had that night. So I ended up spending more on fucking Coca-Cola than I did on my chicken
Yeah.
wings.
That's
Spooky,
awful.
scary, nothing because it takes so much for you to get tipsy. Yeah, despite me going fucking up until this point, 2/3 of my life just never drinking. I'm a very expensive date. It takes me a lot for me to
Nope.
feel something, let alone get anywhere. So
You just gotta have the
that
right stuff. The right. I give me 90 minutes. I can get you tipsy.
well, that's
90
why I'm
minutes.
saying it's a good thing because on my own, it's probably one thing, but like, man, if I was there with you guys, they probably would have been like, "Brute's not drunk enough yet. Give him more shit."
Oh, it took me a lot to get drunk too that night. But I also remember that night because that was the night where like I felt so bad for the housekeeper at the hotel the next day, and that poor lady. I still feel really. I want to find her and just like apologize and give her like a hug because what she encountered later that day when she went to go do the laundry was not fun.
Oh, oh,
Basically, so we were in M&O, which was in Utica. The hotel was in Syracuse. We didn't have a room, Ash and myself. So it was Dick, Colin, Dewey, and Cheat said, "You guys can crash with us if you want." And there would have been six of us in the room. That would have been really cramped. Well, I got destroyed at M&O. The problem was I mixed too many different types of liquors, so I had the cement mixer effect. When we got into the car to drive, not even 5 minutes after leaving and making a right turn onto the thruway, I just puked everywhere. Like, oh god, all over myself, my shirt. I was wearing my Killer Steve shirt. It was all over that shirt, all over my jeans, the passenger side of my car. And he finally get to the hotel. This is back before I had an Easy Pass. So Ash had to try to like, oh, there's nothing to see in the car as he's going to the toll booth worker to get the ticket and then pay for him because they didn't want to think like he killed me or something and just left my carcass there. We get to the hotel. I can't find my phone. I don't know where it is. I throw up again, and I don't have anywhere to go. He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't have their numbers. Oh, I'm like, okay. He just left me in my puke in my car in the front seat to sleep. He climbed into the back of the trunk, put the bags up over himself to kind of like block me from him, and then he slept there. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm like a baby gazelle trying to open my eyes. I can't see. It's like it's you got like the eye goo and it's like I'm like I can't see and I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't know where I am. What is this? There's a school bus next to me. There's this big building. Ash, right? I can't find him. He's not there." And I get out of my car and I start to stagger. I almost fall. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I'm sitting. I turns out I'm in the hotel part. I just start going to the bathroom. I just pulled out and go. Like I don't know what's going on. And there was the reason there was a school bus. There was a field trip going on, and
Did
the
you
kids
piss
were
in
getting
front of
out of the bus.
students?
Yes, the kids were walking out of the hotel onto the bus, and I'm sitting there like I don't know what's going on. And I get back into my car, and I don't know what's happening, and I can't. I find my phone. I call him like, "Where are you?" I don't know what's going on. He comes back to the car. He goes back to the car. He opens it and goes, "Clean this fucking mess up," and throws a roll of paper towel and Febreze at me. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm mortified. I'm scared. I don't know what's
You're
happening.
scared. How do you think all those kids
I'm
feel?
terrified.
Is he fucking
Oh
super face
yeah.
covered in vomit, pissing on the side of
Yeah.
their school bus? They just wanted to
Oh.
go to the museum
Oh.
beast.
Oh, so no, it wasn't on the bus. It was like the bus is here, and I'm like over here by my car, but I'm just like, oh, what's going on? It's like I'm trying to block the sun because I can't see. So I got one hand holding, one hand blocking. It's almost like I'm waving as I'm doing it. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I start cleaning out my car. I'm scooping the vomit out of my car onto the fucking cement. Finally, I get Dick. I think I get Dick on the phone. I'm like, I need your room. I need your room. They're like, what's wrong? I'm like, I gotta get into your room. Give me your room now. They're like, okay, here's our room. I get in, I go, I knock on the door. They open it. They're like, oh, go to the shower. Go to the shower. Get cleaned up now. And I'm like, oh, and I go and I shower, and like I get out of the shower, I'm completely still gone. Like I'm still inebriated from the night before. I'm looking at my clothes. I put on the new clothes. I'm like, there's no way this is salvageable. Like, because I'm sitting in my front seat and the sun's coming up into the windshield and it's like baking on me. I'm like a fucking lasagna in my car with this stuff on me, and it's like it's caked into my clothes. I'm like, I'm not gonna put this in my car because it's gonna make it. It's gonna destroy it smell wise. B, it's gonna take like 3 or 4 washes to get this out. So I said, what do I do? I rolled the clothes up into the towel like a ball, and I said, guys, we gotta go. They're like, why? I'm like, we gotta go. I leave. The maid's cart is there. I throw it in the dirty laundry hamper. So that poor maid had to go into that laundry hamper, get all those dirty towels, and surprise, here's a big and tall man, short in shirt, caked in vomit, and that poor lady. I feel so bad for her because
Why
now
did you
she had
just
to
throw
deal
it
with
in
it.
the garbage?
I wasn't thinking, and I didn't see a garbage can. The first thing I saw that looked like
There's
a
like
garbage
5 of them
can.
in every hotel room.
Oh come on, that's like the size of this. That's not gonna hold a towel, a pair of shorts, and a shirt. It's gonna no, that doesn't work that way. The closest thing that looked like I could hide the evidence was her laundry hamper. So I threw it in there and I just said, gotta go, gotta go. I get in the car and I speed off. Ash is sitting in the back seat because he can't sit in the front because it's still wet. I've cleaned it out. I've Febrezed it. Uh, for whatever reason, we decided to go to Destiny Mall, and the first thing that everybody says is, "Let's go get Chinese food." And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is not going to sit well with my stomach." But I love Chinese food. Um, so we got the food, went to the show. We had Ithaca was the next night because it was in the mall,
Okay.
and I was not booked. And then Colin's like, "Hey, are you fucked up?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm fucked up. I can't wrestle. Let's do a triple threat." And it became Colin, Loka, and myself in a random triple threat match because neither him or I were totally ready to go, but together, then we were at 100%. Yeah,
Loco must have been really fucking confused.
he was fine. Like the match was fine. We did a dance off at one point. It was
Was
really
that
random.
the first Ithaca show? Ithaca is gorgeous.
That you're asking the wrong man on that. I don't know. That I don't
Holy shit!
know. I do remember though. I wasn't I was gonna get yelled at and punished if I didn't go out and clean my car in between every match. So between every match, I had to go out and re-Febreze my car and leave like the sunroof and the windows open to air out because it was awful. It smelled like just rancid in my car. Man, that was a good night. That was a real good night. I got in trouble that night.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it was good. Ithaca's been really good to me in terms of that type of stuff.
Ithaca doesn't really stand out that much for me. I know, like, that's where I won the tag titles there. I wrestled All Money there. I think we only did those two shows there. Was there a third one?
I remember, yeah, there was. There had to because I remember I have 4 memories of Ithaca. Me and Loka one on one. We finally got a singles match, and Ted Stillwell is still mad that Josh had Loka win. He goes, "That should have been your win, damn it!" And he
I
beats for him.
remember that. I remember him being angry.
The triple threat match that we just talked about, Colin, Loka, myself, and then I remember. I this was one of my favorites, and Studley loves the story. It was like another match of like Dewey and me versus the Dream Machine versus CK. And when I said, "Okay, guys, we're doing the match again. What do you want to throw in there?" Cage's like, "Clothesline. I want to hit a clothesline, massive clothesline." And I looked at him like, that clothesline of yours is very special. Let's only do it once. He goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "You know what I'm thinking? Let's put some sizzle on that clothesline. You're gonna give it to me once from the second rope. I don't need all those
No,
other clotheslines from
no,
you.
you're
We don't
you're
need
you're not the one who gave him that second rope clothesline spot, are you?
guilty."
Son of a bitch.
Because he kind of like every match he goes, "Well, I can hit a clothesline here. I can hit a clothesline there. I can hit a clothesline here." And I'm like, "Listen, Buckaroo, we don't need all these clotheslines. Let's just do it once and make it super special." Because what do you mean? I'm like, if you hit me with 4 clotheslines, it means nothing because I keep getting up. You hit me with it once, I'll stay down for you, brother. Let's put some pepper on that clothesline. And he goes, "I like the way you think.
Mother-
Second rope clothesline it is."
Dude,
And
for
Starly loves it that I shut down Cage and his cage lines and way nobody has before, and he loves that story.
I mean, I love it if it wasn't for the fact that for fucking 2 years of my life, it wasn't me. All right, brothers, we're gonna do the hot tag. Is bip line, shoot reverse, eat the fucking boot. I come off the second big fucking clothesline. I took that fucking spot fucking 9 times a month for 2 years.
Yeah, I took that spot every time I wrestled him too. You're not alone. We're in the same boat there. Oh
Oh
my god,
shit.
I gotta find this video. I gotta find this here. Let me message him. I'm gonna message somebody. I'm gonna see if I can get a video exclusive for you to pop you.
Uh Ithaca, New York, 2CW gets lucky. That's right. So my other match was me and Graham versus 3.0. So slamming for John, Ithaca is gorgeous, and 270 gets lucky. So there was a third one. I don't know. Ithaca is gorgeous. Ithaca is gorgeous. Must have been when I wrestled all money. Fucking cage clotheslines. Cage do
All right.
clothesline?
All right, I just sent a message out. Hopefully, we can get a video and maybe you can laugh at it and somehow we can get it on here. You'll love this. It's one of my favorite cage moments that I've ever had with them. This is one of my favorite, but I don't want to spoil it until you see the video first. It's great. You may have even been there for it. It was during a Pier 6 days in Hamlin. Because I know you were there, but I don't remember if you were at this specific show. It was a 6-man tag. It was Carr, Cook, and Cage versus me, Eric Emanon, and there was one other person.
Was this before or after the mayor? Because I'm pretty sure I came in with your feud with the Hamlin mayor there.
Oh no! The mayor was my friend, the supervisor. He was my friend.
Well, somebody was.
You guys were against them.
Yeah. Because I was brought in for it to be your to thwart you.
Yeah.
And then it was supposed to be because I think Cook brought me in, and they're going to put me and Cook together, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going to make it the tag champions," and I was just like,
"So then, yeah, you wouldn't have been there for this one here."
Yeah.
I slapped Cage. I slapped him during a hot tag, and he didn't know what to do. And his face is priceless. I gotta show you the video. You're gonna love it. You'll love it. Nobody's ever slapped him like that. Because nobody ever gets like when you do a hot tag, you're thinking bip bop boop, clothesline punch, elbow. I came in, I think I hit Cook, and then I just slapped Cage. He didn't know what to do. He just looked at me all baffled. I'm like, okay, so why not? Let's just have fun.
Me?
That's exactly what it was.
So, I kind of one of these shows somebody asked like what was the worst venues I've ever wrestled in, and it just reminded me because I just scrolled past it. Now I lost it. Where to go? Okay, so I just saw this and it made me think of it. I don't know if you remember this night, July 6th, 2013, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, GSW cybernetic TV taping. Punisher VanSlyke
oh
versus
my
Super
god!
Beast.
Oh my god! I love that night. Oh, what a great night that was.
So
Again, oh, thank you to Madame moderator because she allowed me to go to that show by watching the store. And this was like a last second thing. Oh, what a night that was.
so you and Cook were together because the shows where you're gonna rip my shirt, Super Beast.
Yeah.
Shirt. Cook. Yes, yeah, that was aforementioned. Me and the wife introducing to each other was doing these Pier 6 shows. I saw her, and I was after the first meeting I saw her again. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take a shirt and I'm gonna pretend to rip it. Ooh, look at me, I'm big and mean.
Oh,
So
I can tell you so many stories of how I was in between both you, hearing both sides of the conversation, but not telling either one of you. It was fun. We'll talk about that next. We can talk about that next. But yeah, that Wilkes-Barre show, that show for GSW.
Yeah,
Oh,
so kind of a
that
refresher
venue.
in case the people don't see the episode I'm
Oh,
referring to. So GSW was like running real sporadic at the time, and they were run only a handful of times a year. So they decided they want to knuckle down, start running more often, but they wanted to like do like a weekly TV show on the internet. So it was gonna be called Cybernetic, and they're gonna do these tapings. So to kind of like keep costs down, instead of like renting a venue, they're just gonna do it at like the school that of a company NEWF they're working with, like their school. And their school's in like a warehouse on like the third floor. And it was just like this rundown fucking like warehouse with shit falling apart and real tiny. And like I said, this was what I say, July. So
yeah.
it was in the middle of summer. The windows are boarded up and tarped up, and the locker room was down the hall in the MMA school.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, like no windows. And the people there, for some reason, decided they didn't like the wrestlers, and they're really pissed at us. They didn't want us on the precious mats, so like get off the fucking mats. And we're like, we're not on the mats, or people like accidentally
Mm-hmm.
step on them. So to like punish us, they came in and cleaned the mats with pneumonia, and nobody could
Mm-hmm.
fucking breathe in that room anymore. So we all got fucking pissed. So it's like 200 degrees. There's chemicals in the air, but Super Reese and I, we got to wrestle each other. And I believe, what do we do? E Honda versus Zangief.
So the night I don't even remember how I got brought into the conversation to come up there because at that point I wasn't doing much on the road with the exception
Mhm.
of 2CW and a couple things here and there. If it really caught my fancy, I think you asked me because you had to find your own opponent or something, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because Kevin Graham, at the time, he was their adrenaline champion. So, like, he was doing stuff with the title. And I don't
Mhm.
think they really had much direction for me.
Yeah,
So, like the roster was really thin then because like they were just coming back. A bunch of guys they had like weren't there, so they had a bunch of like students and stuff. So I don't remember if it was, hey, find your own opponent, or if it was like, if you find your opponent, we'll do that. So I was just
yeah,
like, oh, me and Super
because I
Beast never have a
remember
bad
like
match.
yeah, they didn't. I'm gonna actually have to circle back to that because I want to check one fact there. They didn't have a lot of people at that show, so I think that's when you called me like maybe 2 or 3 days beforehand.
Okay.
It's got to be something like that. And I remember I was watching Street Fighter because why the fuck not? What else am I gonna do on a July night but watch Street Fighter? I said, listen, I'm hailing from Shadaloo City at like 1,000 bison bucks or
Yes, in
something
the
like
Bison
that.
Bucks.
And I said, I'm watching Street Fighter now. I'll do it if we could do E Honda versus fucking Zangief. And I said, absolutely, I'll do it for that. Because I had a random Saturday off for some reason. I think Carrie and the other guy at work's like, yo, this guy's about to snap. He needs like a day off or something. So they took over the store for that Saturday, and yeah, I was able to do the show because of it. Now,
A-
real
and
quick
we had a great
question that
match.
you might know. Um, as we're talking, was that the that wasn't the first time we worked? We did it once before, I think. And I'm not counting battle royals. I want to say we did it once before.
Yeah, I think the first time we wrestled each other was at UW, and I
The rough
was
spot.
with yeah, and I was with
Yeah.
Krieger, and I think like I had that one match with you there, right?
Yeah, because I only remember we had a match. I don't remember why we had the match, but we did, and we did the rough spot where we bumped like the 5 refs.
Yes.
I want to say that was our first match, and then I think this was our second. I don't remember.
Let's see. I'm going to say yes. Trying to
I
go back.
think it was because
Yeah,
we've only
March
had
24th, Phelps, New York, Edge of Darkness 3, Super Beast defeated Punisher VanSlyke.
so that would have been the first time, and then the second time was this match here, I think. And then I think we had maybe 2 other matches possibly.
Well, we had a few matches at Pier 6,
I
'cause-
remember the tag match.
and I think we had one singles match, didn't we?
I do, yeah.
And then in GSW,
Yeah.
when
Oh, yeah, no, we did have another match up there.
yeah, Pier 6, Green Eggs and Hamlin, Punisher was
Yeah.
like to beat Super Beast. Okay, so
You
there's
because
that.
that's the show you were brought in, and that's when you beat me and you attacked the town supervisor Tom Brslowski.
Yep.
I hope I pronounced his name right.
Then let's see. Looks like yeah, and then I do, and GSW did come in at least once or twice when I was the champion and defended my title against you there.
Yeah, you definitely had one match. So we've had about 5 matches. Yeah, that first GSW one though, that was all based on you calling me and asking me when I was watching Street Fighter the movie because I said why not? I haven't done this. I like E Honda. I
I,
liked
I believe out of the few people that we had there, we got a E Honda chant or something like that going
yeah
that popped
because
you.
because I knew they would have they understood it. The fucking Shadaloo City, the Bison Bucks doing the yeah chops.
I was gonna say
Like they got it.
you did the 100 hand slap gimmick to me in the corner.
Yeah, because that's E Honda there. It's classic.
Yeah.
I wanted to try to find a way to do the headbutt, but I'm not that good. I couldn't do the headbutt. I wouldn't have gotten far. But that's something I was always looking to do, and they got it, and I was very happy about that. That's also the night where we got into a car accident on the way home.
I was thinking about that earlier too. Was that night?
It had to have been because I remember.
Ep- So
Yes, it
was
was. I
Ash with
remember.
us?
Yes.
I don't remember
So
Ash being there.
I because what I remember this now because July 1st was technically Canada Day. Somehow I got involved in Canada and I almost got arrested at the border with Sanderson. I then on the way home we won. I won like 300 or 400 bucks at the casino playing blackjack. And then you called me as I was watching Street Fighter, asked me about the match. I said sure. And then the day of the show, I said I don't want to put miles on my car. I'm going to use part of my casino winnings to buy a new cell phone and rent a car. And I got like the $15 special out of like Hotwire. It was that I think it was a Ford Focus. And on the way home, I told Ash, "Listen, you don't have to pay for gas if you drive." And he goes, "Okay." I said, "I'll cover your part of the gas," not realizing that he wouldn't have had to pay much for gas because it was such a small car. And I fell asleep in the back seat. I was sitting behind the driver's seat where he was,
Yeah.
and that's when the deer jumped out and boom, crashed the car.
Fucking I-81, man.
hmm And the best part was the car was under my name, and I had no other. In order to avoid having to pay for the damages, I had to put on the police report that I was the driver,
Yeah.
even though I was in the back seat
Yeah.
sleeping because I fell asleep. And you guys got mad at me because my version of the story was more dramatic than the ones you guys told the cops. And you're like, "He's not gonna believe you, man." I'm like, "I got this." And I told him my story. The cop didn't care. We threw like the front part of the car, like the bumper part, and just threw it into the woods and then drove home. And I remember we saw the ghost cars. You remember the ghost cars?
Oh yeah, yeah. The ghost cop cars. Yeah,
Yeah.
shit was
It was like
freaky.
it was like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning that we were coming in, and you and I saw them on the last stretch of the drive. And then I had to drop the car off at the rental place. I said, "Sorry," and handed him his keys. He goes, "Oh," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I got the
So
insurance."
that fucking ghost car. So we're driving, and I was talking to him. It's like, so what's gonna happen if like we have a headlight out, we get pulled over? Do we still get like that
hmm
ticket? Like because we got in the accident, we filed the police report. Are we still like we gonna get busted? So it's like dawn. Sun's
Yeah.
coming up. We're on the throughway. We're both fucking tired. We're almost to we're not too far from our exit, and I just remember looking forward and I see the lights and I look
Yeah.
over and like I see it. And then before I even say anything, Beast is already pulling the car over. So before I even say anything, and then as he's pulling over, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. And Beast is like, yeah. So we pull over and we're sitting there and we're waiting, and like nothing happens. And we're like, what the fuck? So we both turn and look behind us, and there's no fucking cop car behind us. It never drove by. There's no pull off. There's no exit. There's no turnaround. We all saw a fucking cop pull us over, but it just fucking disappeared.
Yeah. There was nothing there. We were like delusional, but I remember seeing it. It was the black car, the lights, the white writing, and
Yep.
like
And
Jesus.
it wasn't even like up like a like I said something and he was like, oh okay, like he was already pulling over before I
hmm
even said anything. I saw it. I saw the lights flashing, filling up the car. I saw it in the fucking mirror, and Beast is
Yeah.
just going, and he starts pulling over. And then we're like, oh fuck, here we go. We're gonna get home later. We
Yeah.
got to deal with this. Fucking nothing.
Because I saw it when I remember passing it. The U turns right here, and I saw it on my driver's side mirror. And I'm like, there we go. Here we go. You just mentioned it. You brought it to Madison Station. Let
Yep.
me get the police report out so I could show it to him. And then it was all for nothing. And then We got everybody home, and at that point. That was what 2013. You said.
Yes.
So then we got back to our house.
Yeah,
I
and
think you were still living with me at that point.
that one, yes, yeah, because I
Yeah.
remember that night I got a phone call from like my sister, and because I wasn't living at home anymore, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would have
Yep.
been crashing with you by then, and uh, I'm pretty sure I told you this too, but like I was on the road a couple weeks later and driving home, and I was on the same stretch, and something very similar happened to me where I was driving home, and I saw a cop car, and then like when I approached it, it like fucking disappeared. It was like the same time of day in this like the same area, and I remember just being like, I just fucking
Mm-hmm.
saw it again, but like there was no lights. It was just like, oh, I got to get over for this cop, and then when I got there, it was like fucking gone. It was like really fucking weird.
Same stretch of road.
Yep, same fucking area.
Man, I gotta. Man, I want to look it up. It's like an urban tale or something that happened there because I clear as day remember seeing it,
Hmm.
and I remember us having that conversation over like grilled food or something like that.
Yep.
It
I
was a good
I
time.
yeah, it's just it it just like I know people are gonna say like, oh, you guys are you're half awake, you're tired, you're exhausted, you saw stuff, but like I said, man, we didn't like say anything. We both reacted to the cop and saw the same shit without even saying anything to the other person, and just fucking gone,
So
man.
I'll
Fuck.
say this: like, was I exhausted? Yes, but I was more awake at that point after
Oh
the
yeah.
accident. Because not only did like you have the impact from the car that jolted you awake,
Mhm.
but then we are standing outside because it took like almost an hour for the cop to get there, which was really
Yep.
surprisingly. And I'm outside. It wasn't, like awful outside, but it was like enough to wake you up from a sleep there. And then, as I was more awake, it's just I'm like, I just want to go home, and that definitely would not make me get home sooner having to deal with that cop.
Yeah.
Oh man, speaking of another good story, this one might pop you. Was it 20? When did when did like DDP come into 2CW? Was that 2014?
Oh, let's see. That was definitely Rome. Shit, what would I
Let me
have done
see.
on that show?
Actually, you know what? I could find it out this way. I forgot I had the picture of it on my phone under
Was
my.
it Feel the Bang? Well, that's
Yeah,
bigger than
I think it
wrestling.
was
So it's not well, unless it
albums.
was.
Here it is. Because Morrison also wrestled. No, 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 that wasn't not that one.
2013. Well, let me see. It was either going to be August or April 2015. Serve the Servants. No Place Like
Because
Rome. That's
it
Matt Hardy.
was Syracuse the night before. Because Syracuse had
Was that the Farewell to the Pastime?
all I remember was Callahan wrestled onto it.
Yes. Yes. God damn it, Patrick. This is what you get when you don't show up.
Let's go
September,
back to
Valentine,
cage
Pasta.
match. Our cage match. Go back.
Pasta, what's around?
I remember it was in August.
Yeah, because you can only wrestle in Rome in April and August. April would be living on the edge.
Was it? Let's.
No Place Like Rome. That was with Matt Hardy. Wow, I'm having trouble finding it. Because I'm pretty sure it would have been, was it last time at, like when the last pastime show was the day before? Last time at the pastime? I am having a hard time finding this. Or nothing. 13. It had to have been earlier. Well, it wasn't 2013 because in August we were at Boonville. Is it 2014? Oh no, did I lose a beast? Beast, I lost you. Beastie. Beastie, come back. Uh-oh. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulty. Beast, are you there? Did his computer die? Oh. Has anybody seen Super Beast? He was just here a minute ago. Hey, there he is.
Hey, I don't know what happened. I heard like a ping, and
Oh,
then
is that what that ping was?
I heard a ping and then an echo, and then your face was frozen, and then I'm sitting here like hello and trying to wave and look up the information, and now I think we're back. I think we're back here.
Yeah, we're back. I think we're good.
Goddamn ghost cops! They got to us finally.
The ghost cops, they finally
Okay,
got us.
it was. So it was August of 2012, the year prior.
Oh.
Do you remember what that? You remember what that road trip was about?
August 2012.
It was Syracuse, Rome, and then PA.
Oh. Grant's Martial Arts, the fucking hottest triple shot weekend ever. 2CW-a-thon, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
And then
shit.
TCW Feel the Bang. So here we go. We got you got in the main event you got John Morrison versus Sammy Callahan. Next show you have DDP make an appearance, and then the next night you have some guy with a diaper full of pudding smashed into another man's face to close out that awesome weekend. And that building, how hot it was, and we just wanted to get out of there because we kept sweating. Every time we would dry off or change our clothes, we would just sweat right to the new ones. And they tried to get me to move my car, and I said, okay. And I just moved it to the other side of the parking lot. And they didn't know. And then on the way home, what did we get?
I hope sheets.
I don't think it was Sheets 'cause I don't think we were near one.
White
We
Castle?
did. We no. We stopped at a gas station and we got some delicious frosty.
For real shakes?
Yeah, the summer of milkshakes. And I couldn't decide. Do I want the mint chocolate chip or do I want the peanut butter? So you know what I did? I bought one of each, and I
One of
drove.
each.
I drove with a milkshake in each hand, and I said, "It's the summer of milkshakes," and you wouldn't stop laughing at me because you're like, "We're gonna die," but you're so happy because you got milkshakes. And I did a Steve Austin. I'm chugging those milkshakes. It's a great night on the way home because it was so hot in that building.
That was dude. Sometimes you make the rounds, man. You build the towns. You put on your fucking work belt. You lay the foundation, and you do the drives. You work the territories, man.
Hmm.
But this will always be the fucking hardest, worst fucking weekend ever. So Tuesday we did a double shot. Friday night we're in Syracuse. Last time at the pastime, all or nothing. And so this is August. So the pastime's old. It's upstairs. There's a fucking door you open on each side. You hope a cross breeze comes through. There's no air conditioning. You're sweating in the locker room. We did a fucking tag team battle royal that night in Syracuse, where I think like the winners get like a tag title match or something like that. But so hot as fuck. So everyone's like, "Oh, thank God we're in Rome tomorrow. It's a hockey arena. It'll be air conditioned. Everything will be great." One fucking room is air conditioned in that building, and that's the concession stands on the other side of the fucking building. Hot as hell. We're wrestling the Super Smash Brothers. So Kevin and I, we gotta work. We gotta move. We gotta do shit. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson now, Smash Brothers back then. So hot as fuck. And we're just like, well, it can't get any hotter than this. The fucking Sunday, Plymouth, Pennsylvania, Grant's Martial Arts, a condemned building where it looks like at any moment you're gonna fall through the floor. The walls are decaying and decrepit. The windows are nailed shut. There's like not even enough power to power a fan, and it was just hot as fucking hell. And according to this, it says Evers versus Punisher. So this must have been me wrestling AJ Evers for the title.
Oh my god, that reminds me of the time Ever snubbed me.
He snubbed you?
So I worked with him a little bit. Like I knew who he was at like GSW,
Uh-huh.
and then he came into a Pure Six where he goes, "Hey, I'm Evers." I'm like, "I know who the fuck you are. I know who you are. I was with you a month ago."
Was he ribbing you?
No, he was. He didn't recognize me. And I'm like, "How do you not recognize me? Look at me. Look at me."
So we've mentioned Pier 6 a few times, and so like I said, I was brought in to do this angle with you. We had the blow off, and like I said, it was supposed to be me and Cook were going to be a team. We are going to the tag titles off of that one Buffalo team. I can't remember what they were called, Buffalo's Most Wanted or something.
Oh, the Outlaws.
Yeah, the Buffalo Outlaws. So I remember talking to Sanderson, and I was like, "Look, I appreciate that all, but like I'm in a tag team. I'm like I'm tag team champions with a guy. I was like, can't we just bring Kevin Graham in here?" And so we did, and they ended up putting me with Graham instead, and we ended up winning the tag titles and all that.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a kind of two Pier 6 things I want to mention, but I mean, I'm guessing the statute of limitations up on this, but I would love to talk about the fucking Hamlin screw job.
Oh, I felt so bad for you guys. I had to lie to you guys that night.
S-
Um. So what do you want to know about it?
so I don't know if many people are aware of this incident, and I guess it means more if you know who Sick Rick Matrix is. Beast, if you had to describe Sick Rick Matrix, how would you describe him?
Oh, I love Matrix. So Matrix would have been amazing in like the 70s and 80s as like he would have been like a great big man heel. He kind of would have reminded of like a maybe a one man gangish type thing. He was trained by I think it was Al Snow. I
I don't
want to say
know
it
that.
was Al Snow that he was training with. Um, in Ohio, I don't know the extent to everything, so I can't say yes or no for sure. But I want to say he was training with Al Snow School.
Okay.
But he believes wrestling is he believes in it. Like he believes the intensity, and I love that about him. But he honestly he didn't want to do business, but he was upfront about it with me. So I mean, I can't fault the man. I mean, yeah, it sucks that he felt the way he did about me, and I wish he didn't, I guess. But I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It didn't really bother me, but he didn't want to do the job. He didn't think that I would have been a credible champion. Um, and I didn't look like or act like a real wrestler, which I can understand based on some of the stuff I was doing at the time.
Yeah, so Matrix is the champion at the time, and I'm pretty sure they want him to drop the title, but he was like, no, no, no.
Hmm.
And Beast was getting built up as like this big heel. Then he was like kind of talking about earlier with like his like just his ad libbing sort of stuff. So he's coming out to fucking Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus and getting like all this fucking heat and shit. So we're uh we're there, and I don't remember if I don't think I was told like it
I
was gonna
remember
happen
this. I
because
can tell you this for a fact. You did not know.
okay, so I did not
You
know.
did. You know. There was. Okay, so before Hamlin, uh, have you've been to Pineapple Jacks up here, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So when we were and this is I really try to be humble, but I was like a Hogan or a Cena there. And when we were at Jack's cuz Jack's was my Jack's was my hometown bar. That was the bar I would always drink at when I was, drinking in my 20s. It was 10 minutes from my house one way, 10 minutes from work the other way. So I'd run into all my high school friends, anybody I knew at work and all that stuff there. So when I was there, I was getting like the Hogan and the Cena responses. They moved it to Hamlin. I'm not going to get that same response. And Matrix was a heel. He turned heel on Colin.
yeah, yep.
So they said, "Hey, this is our big baby face. He's the one that has to defeat you."
Oh,
He didn't
okay.
want to do the job. He didn't
So
want to do the job. So
so you became the heel with Wrecking Ball after.
after, yeah. So what we
Okay.
did was we had and I remember this. It was like a Tuesday night. It was Scotty Bender, Adam Nowak, Sanderson, myself, Matrix, and Ash. All six of us got together at a bar and we laid it out to him. We said, "Hey, this is what we're looking to do, Rick. We want to do the match. We want him to beat you. Would you be willing to drop?" And he goes, "I don't want to because I don't respect him enough as a wrestler. He's not what I feel a wrestler should be." And that's okay, whatever, not a big deal. So we came up with the idea, hey, why don't we do Montreal and screw you? And just us six knew, nobody else. So we printed off the card. We're gonna do the match. Matrix wins, all that stuff. We do the match. Him and I, we called a match in front of everybody to make it look real. But then right before, you remember how you walk down those stairs to where the entrance is, and they had like
Yep.
that small little hallway.
Yeah.
Um, Basically the match right before us, him and I walked down there to get ready because it was just him and we called the real finish outside of earshot of everybody else. But the match that we called in front of you guys was what we did. We just changed the finish. So when he did that, well, first of all, I thought he died during the match.
The Sabu, right?
Yes,
Yep.
because yeah. So I like to shorthand my talking in the ring. So when he goes, these are the three spots I want to do. He said Sabu, and I saw, and he goes, he told me Sabu in the match. That's all I wanted him to tell me, just Sabu, so I know it's coming. I see him go out of the ring and get the chair, so I'm assuming he's going to do one of these, boom, and just throw it at me. So I know it's coming. I can see him. So I purposely crawl to the corner away from him. I'm crawling up so I could turn around into it.
Mhm.
I turn around. The chair's already set up and he's running at me. I'm like, oh, this Sabu. He does it. He hits me, but then he falls over the top rope onto his head,
Yep.
which hit
Adverse.
the stairs and then the concrete. So I'm like, so immediately I have to go into what's my audible right now? if we do this? How do I make this work? Like,
He's out.
because I knew what we have to do. Like, what can I do to make it believable? Thankfully, he was okay. We finished the match. It was what did we do? Oh, I think it was like I go to Iris whip him. He reverses me. I hit the buckle. He goes to charge, and I hit the ropes clothesline from hell. Quick, boom, 1, 2, 3, done. And
So,
then ring the bell.
so for you're unfamiliar with like this venue, like you said, the locker room is upstairs and there's that stairway. But if you go the other way out the door, there's like a balcony that like oversees like the arena floor
Hmm.
with the ring and everything. So you can like hear a lot of shit out there. And so I was on the show. Graham would have been there. I believe Freddie was on the show too. He just
Hmm.
started bringing them in. So we're
Hmm.
back there. We're talking. We're changing, and I hear the bell and I hear like Beast One, and I'm just like, wait, what? Beast
Yeah.
One? And then I see him like coming up the stairs. He's like with Ash. He's got the
Oh no,
belt.
you were downstairs. You were downstairs. You
Well,
you said what happened? You went down to go greet me. Because what was the thing I did to you when I walked through that curtain? Do you remember?
I remember hearing Matrix throwing shit, and I remember getting up and coming over to you thinking I was gonna have to fight Rick Matrix because of what happened. So I was ready to come over and get between you two and throw hands with this fucking dude who's not on coke but acts like he's on coke. So I was ready to throw hands for you. I remember that.
Mhm. So I remember where you went downstairs and the entranceway you were standing right by the stairs.
Okay.
So I pin him 1, 2, 3. I'm like, what? I'm looking like, what happened? I don't know what's going on. Ash runs. He goes upstairs. I come down like, what the fuck was that bull? And I throw that belt at you as hard as I could.
Oh yeah,
Hit you in the
yeah.
chest. You're like,
Yep.
oh my and then you're like going upstairs to
Yeah,
go
okay.
after me because you don't know what's happening. Matrix is throwing chairs. He's taking the chairs against the ring post. He's bum rushing, so he leaves the ringside area through like the door to get into where the ring is to get sessions. He grabs his bag, runs out the front door, and peels out of the parking lot. He almost hit like a fan or two. And I'm almost just like, what the fuck was that? I didn't. What is going on here? I'm a champion now, and you guys are like, we don't know what to do. You're trying to go downstairs to stop Matrix. People are like, he's gonna hurt somebody. He's gonna, and by accident, of course, he's gonna do this. He's gonna do
Yeah.
that. And then all of a sudden, you're like, there's other people upstairs like, oh, I'm so disgusted. Why? How could a Fed do that? I'll never work here again. And I'm just like, well, here we fucking go. And then like I think Adam or Sanderson came up to pay me. I'm like, you can't pay me enough for this shit. And I grabbed the envelope out of their hand. Now they knew what was going on. But this is where if you want chaos, this is where it got chaotic for me. So at that time, uh it was early enough where we can grab dinner. You and the missus joined me for dinner at Applebee's with Sanderson and Ash. So now it was supposed to be just us three, but then you're like, hey, let's go get food. And I'm not gonna say no to you because I'm like trying to sell this whole angle. So you come at me and for that whole dinner, I can't say a thing. None of us can. So and you're like, talk to me about what happened. We're trying to dissect it. I'm eating my boneless honey barbecue wings with blue cheese. We're like, and honestly, every time you ask me a question, I have to come up with something on the fly because how do I explain it? And us three can't say anything to each other, but we know what happened. And we played it for that was August. We played it for 2 months.
I, you played it, and like like you said, like fucking, I'm crashing in your fucking basement, and you're still fucking working me. And
Hmm.
that night, like I said, I was ready to stand up for Beast. I was gonna fucking fight Rick Matrix, um, and then I remember like that next show, like he fucking shows up, and then we're all just standing there, just being like, "Are you telling me this thing was a fucking work the whole time?"
It was.
And you're all
Um,
like,
no,
"Gotcha."
yeah. So I don't. We weren't supposed to find out that soon that it was the work. It
Oh
was
no.
supposed to go on for a little bit longer. Yeah. The problem was when Matrix showed up, he wanted the pop in circumstance. So originally, That's when I turned the corporate heel in the middle of the ring with Sanderson. And Bender was there, and Adam came out to like acknowledge us. What was really supposed to happen was Matrix was supposed to just skid up to the building, get out of his car, run in, and then just attack me without doing a promo or anything. But when he got in there, he decided to do a promo first, which that meant that's what alerted everybody it was a work. Had he had come in and just started to attack me, then it was supposed to keep going on, and that's where you guys were probably more than likely we didn't discuss it because we couldn't, but we were hoping that had he had just came in and just bum rushed the ring and tried to hit us for it, that you guys would have came down to save us and break it up, or something would have been there. But
Absolutely.
because he did the promo, he's that's where you guys are like, oh fuck you guys, you did this to us, and it was one of those things where we didn't want to do that angle, but we didn't have a choice if he wasn't going to drop it to me, and that's the only way we can get it done. We had to convince him it was just the storyline they were going with, and then when we moved to the new building, the community center, he wasn't booked anymore because they were afraid he was going to destroy the place.
Oh, that's why? Because that was going to be my next
Hmm.
question. I was like, not soon after that, we
Yeah.
went to the Italian American Community Center, which was a fucking
Hmm.
swanky ass venue. It was a great setup. I absolutely loved it there. And I was
Hmm.
like, he was never on those shows. Like, but it was just because he was going to destroy the place.
So the fear was in some people's minds is Rick is kind of like a loose cannon where you don't know what he's going to do.
Oh,
There's been
100%.
times where he's like he dances on a table at a show and breaks it, or he throws a chair and he breaks something in the venue, and they're like, he does that here. That's a lot of money that's going to have to be shelled out to fix it there. And yeah, they didn't want that to happen.
I I totally get that. That makes complete sense. Was he angry that he wasn't booked anymore? You
I
remember?
don't know. I don't know because um, he moved to the Carolinas.
I thought he went to Detroit.
No, he's in the Carolina. He might have gone to Detroit, but I
Oh,
know he's in the Carol. At least last I knew, he was in the Carolinas because he was. So would have been when NWA Power started the very first time. When you notice when they had like Ricky Morton in there, and you had the people in the front row with the visitor badges, those are Ricky Morton's. Like I guess students or people at his school, and Rick was the champion of his fed.
oh, because the
Mhm.
last I heard about him was he was going to Detroit to do Truth Martini's like school, and like that's how he did those Ring of Honor shows, and he was supposed to get
Oh
signed by
yeah,
Ring of Honor, and then he kind of fucked up and got his
he poo
shit
pooed.
thrown
He
out.
made a poo poo. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this he may have been doing stuff in Detroit, but I know he was in the Carolinas because he was at Ricky Morton's school. He was the champion. We looked him up online, and he was also in the front row for a couple episodes of Power as like
Huh.
villain.
Well, here's a fun Rick Matrix story. Um, this had this might have been the first time I met him. I'm not 100%. Um, so doing those Plymouth shows, those Keystones at Grants.
Hmm.
When I first started doing them, like I was working with Krieger and stuff. So we went down there one time, and it was me, Krieger, and Rick Matrix. And this might have been my first one or my second one. It was really early on, and it was pretty much a given. Like you do on the shows, you're not getting paid. It's one of those shows. There's no money to get paid. So I was a dumbass. They were working with Garden State Wrestling, so like Johnny and Decker and Image were down there. So I wanted to do that. I wanted the ring time and blah 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 blah. So I did the shows. Um, Krieger was the champion at the time, and we're going down there, and so it's very clear. He's telling Matrix, we're not getting paid. Now, the first thing about it that fucking terrified me was Matrix was driving, and
Mm.
I'm sure you know this about him, but Matrix does not believe in wearing seatbelts, and
Is that because you know my Matrix seatbelt story?
no, I just assumed this was a thing because he was driving the whole way, no seatbelt, tucked behind him, leaning to one side like this, talking to Krieger, driving like this, doing 105 down I-81 the whole fucking time. Just no fucks
Mhm.
given. And me in the back seat just going, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Um, but then the other part is we get there, we do the show, we do the stuff, and we're leaving. And Rick Matrix, despite everything he was told, still tried to find the pay window. And he got very angry when there was nothing at that pay window. And he drove home, no seatbelt, angry, driving faster. And I'm just like, this is where I fucking die. What's your seatbelt story?
This would have been March 2011, 2012 time period. Because this is way before we did the me and him started working together at Pier 6. We were at Jack's one night. It was Sanderson's birthday, and there was a group of us. It was like, obviously Sanderson for his birthday, his girlfriend at the time. I was there. Ash was there. His girlfriend at the time. A couple of us that were really good friends were there. And we get there, and there's Matrix drinking at the bar, drinking kamikazes. Do you know why Rick Matrix is drinking kamikazes? Any
Because
idea why he drinks them?
it's two booze in one.
No, it's because that's Ric Flair drank, so he had to drink it.
Uh,
That's the truth. Like, I asked him, like, so Rick, why are we doing kamikaze? He goes, because that's what Flair would do. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll do kamikaze with you. So me and Matrix were going drink for drink and hanging out and all this stuff. And it's now 2 o'clock in the morning. Matrix is totally gone. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm like, hey, I can still go for another couple hours, but like, I'm great. He's not. So Big Mike Paris goes, hey, can you do me a favor? We can't let Matrix drive home. Can you take care of him for a little bit? I'm like, sure, I'll take care of him. Rick, we're gonna go get some food. Get in my car. So he gets into the passenger seat of my Trailblazer. I drive from Jack's right up there up Spencerport Lyle Road. We stop at Stevie T's. Rick, we're gonna go get a
ooh,
garbage
Stevie
plate. Come on, man.
T's. Hell
Let's go
yeah.
get a garbage plate there. So Rick gets out of the car, goes inside. Now, I mean, I know you've been to Stevie T's. I don't know how late you've gone to Stevie T's, but when it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you get a lot of people in there that are just not all there. And there's some females in there that were kind of drunk, and Rick's like, "Oh, sweetheart, I'd saw my arm off for 5 minutes with you," or "Oh, sweetheart, I'd break my leg in half for just like 5 minutes with you in the
Why is it got to
bathroom."
be
And
so violent?
I don't. He's painting a picture of what he's going to do, how he's going to cause self harm and mutilation to himself for 5 minutes with him. So I'm like, Rick, let's go get some food. We get a plate. He eats it. We go, okay, good. How you feeling? Rick goes, I'm feeling good. I'm like, all right, let's get you back to Jackson, get you into your car. So I'm sitting like this, driving in the front seat of my car. Rick is sitting in the passenger seat, but he's facing me. Like he's sitting sideways to my car, so his back is against the door, and his legs are like on the center console looking at me like having this conversation. So he
I,
can't wear a
I just
seatbelt.
I just fucking picture him like a little junior high girl just being
Yeah.
like, so
He's looking at
beast.
like talking to me. Yeah. So I make a right hand turn from Stevie T's onto Spencer Lyle Road. And then I go to make the left turn into Jack's. The door flies open. He's like, whoa! And he grabs the emergency handle at the top, but he almost did like a back roll, tuck and roll out of my car in the middle of the road, making a turn into the Jack's parking lot. Man almost died on my watch.
I was gonna say, how many times has this man almost died on your watch? That's twice.
Twice, yeah.
Man, I
Twice.
wonder how many times, period, that man has almost died through his own negligence.
I don't know, but like I'm grabbing over. I'm trying to drive with one arm, making a turn. I'm trying to grab like Rick. You get back in here. Get back in here, Rick. I need you. Because that's all I need is for the cops to get called to Jack, saying, "Hey, this man just killed another man, and pushed him out of his car." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do that." But yeah,
Oh,
that's just happens.
jeez, fucking Rick Matrix. What
I
he
love
is
I love Rick.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
just
Rick.
one of
I
those
love
cats,
him.
man. He is one of those urban legend wrestlers,
Mhm.
like he's like that one dude in Jericho's book, the True to the Crew guy. Like he's that guy who's in wrestling, but he's so fucking out there that it's crazy, man. And like when I think of Rick Matrix, one of the first things that like pops into my head is Rick Matrix has to matrix himself up and matrix himself down
Yeah.
for his matches. So if you were on a show with Matrix and he was like, on deck, he's in a couple matches before, you will find him in the bowels of the building holding his Sony Discman with his headphones on, listening to some fucking new metal song, which I can appreciate, just like pacing back and forth, just getting into that sick Rick Matrix mode, and just like hyping himself up. So by the time he's ready to go, he's at fucking full fucking mass, like mindset to just sabu himself over the top rope or put himself through a table, just like agent. Everyone has their thing. Yes, everybody does has their thing, but like most wrestlers like have to get their blood flowing, get their get hyped, like get
Yeah.
stretched, get limber, like find yourself. Matrix takes himself to a whole nother plane of
He
existence.
does.
Like
And
I'm not
that's
talking about he's doing his pre-match ritual. This man is channeling another dimension. And I say this with all due respect. I'm not shitting on him. I'm just saying it is when you're new to the business like me and you're seeing
Mhm.
this, it is fucking crazy.
Yeah. And that can sometimes be, I don't want to say his, well, it could be his downfall, but
I would
like,
say it's at least
well,
adjacent.
yes and no, because so when he gets in the ring, he brings it. Like he's gonna fight like there's no tomorrow.
Yes.
The problem is you gotta know how to handle that. So my first match I did with him, it was a triple threat match. It was him, Krieger, and myself at Pier 6 outdoors. And we were the opening match on the show. He was the heel, Krieger was the heel, I was the baby face. And um he got me into the corner. He's like choking me like this, and then he gives me the stiffest forearm and chop that he's ever given me. And I said, okay, if that's how we're gonna play it, I walloped him, I turned him around, I did the same thing. And after that, he's like, okay, we're good. We're good because he wants people to fight back. He wants to know that he's going to get into a fight with somebody that's going to fight back. And I'm not saying it's something that somebody watched, but these other people are not fighting back and they're getting demolished. And that's where he gets this attitude of I'm reckless, I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna kill you, because we're killing all these other people. But he's not like it's because the other people aren't fighting back. So that's what he's gonna do to make himself look good.
I get that, and I can respect that. Like I was just in a situation, the last uh match I had, I was working with some greenhorns. It wasn't supposed to be anything much. They were selling like some chair shot beat downs they had or whatever. But I was in there with like this pretty big dude who's actually got like an inch on me, but I definitely have like the weight advantage. So he's new, and it's a handicap match and his partner is
I'm your
smaller.
huckleberry.
So cat's meowing. Cat's meowing. Thanks for follow. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for following. I appreciate it. Welcome to the Brute Squad. Um, but as I was saying, so he's a big dude. Should be
Hmm.
should be working a certain way. And we're doing this thing. I take out his partner, so it's him and me, and he is just throwing like weak sauce, you know. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, dude, you gotta fucking hit me harder than that. So he does. And I'm like, no, fucking harder. So he does. And I'm like, no, fucking harder. And then he starts unloading. And he does a decent job after that. So I'm talking to him about it after. And I'm just like explaining to him, how a big man has to do it, like how convincing you have to be, how you can be snug and safe. Some people might call you stiff or whatever, but I was
Hmm.
like, I'm not going to react to this weak ass shit because that's going to make me look bad. So if you're going to throw shit like that, I'm going to do what I did and I'm going to stand there and fucking tell you to fucking hit me. And if you don't, I'm going to lay you out because that's how I got to protect myself. So I totally, uh, can respect that and understand that. And, uh, but, it's funny because something like that happened with you the first time, like we wrestled with you and me. Cause I remember, uh, us working and you giving me that fucking super beast bear paw. And I remember you hitting me, and I remember my brain specifically going, "Oh, that's what we're gonna do. That's how we're doing this." And I knew exactly how to bring it with you because I knew what you were gonna give me, and I like that. You know what I mean?
Was it the bear paw chop?
Yes, the two to the chest.
Really? Really? I'm surprised because I'm usually very gentle with those.
Well, I remember being
Or did it
outside the
or did it
ring.
surprise you? Did it surprise you?
Surprised me. I guess you could say surprise. Like this is our. I don't. I'm pretty sure it was Pier 6. I don't think it was our UW because I'm pretty sure when we worked UW, I wouldn't say there was anything like really snug about that match. I mean, it was in Phelps. It didn't need to be. But I remember us
Yeah.
being at Pier 6. We're doing the singles match. I'm a little bit more on with my years. I got a little bit more experience. And I remember you giving me like that bear paw when I'm up against the side of the ring. And I'm just like, okay, yeah. And I remember from there, we threw some chops, we threw some forearms. Like
Yeah.
it was nothing awful. But for me, it's like what I like, what I want.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people who would just be like, "Oh, dude, you're stiff, lighten up," and I'm like, "I'm not," But I've also had people be like, "Man, I forgot how snug you work. This is great." Some people react to it different, but like being there with you and us being able to do that, which is now more than ever what I'm really about, like liking that contact and that impact, like you know, that point you did that. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then because of that,
Yeah.
that match was great. The fucking match we had at GSW, I remember liking them all because they were just fucking,
Yeah, it
solid
was easy.
matches.
Because normally when I do those chops, like Jimmy will tell you this. When I chopped him, he goes, "You did them. It was the most gentlest chop I ever took. It sounded great, but yeah, I normally cut my hand. So I'm wondering if maybe it's because you're against the ring and there wasn't like any give there. If it
Maybe.
felt harder, but I don't know. But that second GSW match, I liked that match because I remember I told you the finish was like the pump kick. I thought it was the pump kick or some sort of
It
boot to the face.
it probably because at that time I was doing the Bernard driver. I was still doing the lariat, but I was my setup to the Bernard driver, so I might have done the bicycle kick because I was still trying to be Giant Bernard.
That had been it, 'cause I remember you said bicycle kick, and you told me, I think you told me to, like, turn my head. I said, "I'll be good." And I
Yeah.
just I just I just ate the boot, and I remember so, obviously, we'd get home sometimes 4 or 5 in the morning, depending on where we stopped for food from those drives, and I pulled into my driveway, and I'm like, "Fuck, I gotta go to work in, like, 3 hours." And I called into work, I said and I thought I was gonna get the answering system, so I'm like, "Oh, this is great. At 6 o'clock in the morning, nobody's gonna answer the phone there. I'm gonna leave a voicemail and tell them I got hurt." And the night manager answered the phone, so I had to quickly scramble. She goes, "You don't sound good." I'm like, "Oh, I just got a concussion. I can't come into work." She's like, "Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Feel better." So I didn't go to work that day. I called in sick, and I just
You're
slept.
welcome, I think.
Yes, yes, because, and also I think it was Eric, the one that was taking the pictures back then?
Pinhead,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
S so one of my managers, one of the team manager at works, he was a wrestling fan, so he came up to me and goes, "Hey, did you know about this and this and this?" I'm like, "Yeah, we talked about this." And he goes, "Oh, man, I heard you got a concussion. Are you okay?" I'm like, "I think I'll be good. I just gotta be careful and take it easy." And he goes, "Man, that's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, look at the picture." And I showed him the picture that Eric took of you just blast me. He goes, "Oh my god, you ate that boot." I'm like, "Told you I was really concussed." And I wasn't, but he believed it. And I was able to get that off, and then they gave me some extra time off as well too, just to said, "Hey, brother, we can't have you looking at the monitor. That can affect you too much." So it was a gift that kept on giving.
That's fantastic. And the thing about that pump kick is I like really stopped doing that a lot because 9 times out of 10, people would fucking pre-bump on that. And it would
Mhm.
end up looking so shitty. There'd be so much daylight because I would throw it and people would just, bump and you not take any of it. So I always appreciated when people, I mean, I appreciate it if people just fucking, took it, would take it. But when people like you are just like, fucking do it. I really
I
appreciate
I
that
didn't
shit.
I didn't know it was gonna get me, like, square in the face, I thought it was gonna get me more, like, down here, but I'm like, "Oh, that's a great visual," and it worked.
Yeah,
When,
I always aim for the side and try to do like that
like, right
that
here.
motion. Yeah,
And, yeah, and that's why you said make sure the head is turned so you can get this, but, like, "No,
yeah.
I'm good. I'll eat that." And, I like that pump kick so much, I'm like so when 2CW was doing when they were doing their original goodbye shows and stuff like that,
Mhm.
Josh and I was talking, goes, "Hey," he goes, "What do you wanna do on these shows?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, who are some people you'd wanna work or stuff like that?" And he also did this for the reunion show too, and I'm like, I never really had like, I had the match with Loka that was one-on-one.
Mhm.
I did a match or 2 with Jasper Whipple one-on-one, but, like, I'm like, the one thing I always wanted to do was have, like, that one, like, crazy match in front of that crowd just to say, "Look, I've been doing a lot of these fluff matches, but there's a lot more to me," and I'm like, "Do you got anything for VanSlyke?" Because I'd work him, and my plan was I was gonna tell you to give me the pump kick while I'm on the apron, so I could just eat it and then just fall to the floor and collapse and go into the guardrails, but that never happened. Um, but yeah, that was one of the things I'm like, "Man, he could just beat the fuck out of me there, I could beat the hell out of him there, and that crowd's not gonna know what happened because 'cause they're not
Oh,
used to that."
no.
So that was
Oh.
something I asked Josh, but you already had plans. So I'm like, "Okay, that's fine.
Well,
Give me,
I didn't have
give
that
me."
many. I mean, the last show I had some plans, but that last stretch, those 4 shows, I mean, I was in some throwaway clusterfucks, man. I would have loved to just had a even if we just got 5 minutes together, that would have been amazing.
Well, no, this one I'm talking about the Syracuse one, I think, where you wrestled Elgin.
Oh, okay.
So you already had that. Now the reunion show was a whole different story because he needed me in the tag match. He had to have the shitty six.
Yeah.
There's no way you can do it. But yeah, that final show, I'm like, man, that would have been a great match to go out on and show them, hey, I can do this there. Because like, I loved working Loka and Derek. Derek down there. That was a great one-on-one match for our singles because they weren't used to him. Like, if they just see me beat the hell out of him and he just does it to me, it's gonna be because those matches were starting to get appreciated more and more at that time and going forward. I'm like, that would have been great, but I don't know. Maybe there'll be another reunion show. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I mean, I don't know about another reunion show, but man, that would have been crazy. Yeah, a match like that in front of that crowd, that that Elgin thing, that was kind of last minute, and
Hmm.
at the time it was really cool. It did a good amount for me. Now it's kind of one of those the he shall
It
not
is.
be
It's
named
just a
matches.
match. It's just a match. Hey, I
Yeah,
wrestled
so
this guy once. Okay, cool. It's in the history books.
yeah, but like not long before that, I did a Ring of Honor tryout camp, the last one I did, and he was there as one of the guys or whatever. And I remember him like messaging me and being like, "Oh man, it'd be real cool for us to like do a match sometime. Like, it would be great." I'm like, "Oh really? Yeah, that'd be really awesome." Then he messaged me again and be like, "Oh yeah, it'd be really great. Maybe we can do it like at a 2CW or something." And I was like, "Yeah." And so like I messaged Josh. I'm like, "Hey, Elgin's like looking for it and stuff." And Josh is like, "No, do you want to wrestle him?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm pretty sure it was kind of just like him trying to get on the show, but I got the match, and
Yeah.
like I said at the time, it did me some good. Um, I'll still always remember because that 2 sets they didn't announce any matches. just like who would be there and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I remember like we were like the second or third match, but I think there was like a match and then like a segment and then us. We were on pretty early. So I remember Elgin went out first, and at the pastime, so you got like the gorilla room, and then there's like this little hallway in
Yeah.
between the curtain you come out, and then that room. So like you're in this little hallway between two curtains, and Elgin's out, and he got the pop and stuff. And I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for my music, and before I go out, I start hearing the crowd chanting, "We want Brute, we want Brute," and I'm just like, "Holy fuck, they want me!" And that's when Josh comes in, and he spins me around, and he fucking slaps me across the face, and I was like, "Huh?" And he just goes, "Do you fucking hear them?" He goes, "They fucking want you." He's like, "You fucking go out there and you fucking do it, no excuses. You fucking show them." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, yeah, I'm gonna fucking show them. Let's fucking do it."
Hmm.
And so he gets me all fucking hyped up and sends me out there and shit. So, you know, definitely a great moment. And like I said, for what it was great. But
Yeah.
man, I wish you and I could have at least danced there at some point, at least once.
Yeah. It just wasn't meant to be. But
Mm,
it's for the best. We had our own unique paths there that we had to take to make it work, and
mm,
it is what it is. We have the other matches. I still really like that UW matches because we didn't have to do much, and we had that finish with all the refs getting bumped because we had to make it a story match or something, and like,
yeah.
yeah, we could do this and all that stuff. But it was fun. It was always a good time in there.
Mhm.
It's always an easy time. I like easy days at the office.
Which goes to show you, like it's like that thing, man. Like you're talking about earlier, like, oh, him, I want to work him. Like it can be such an easy story. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated because guys like us, you either put us with uh smaller dudes, and you got that story goes one or two way, David versus Goliath, or the destruction. I always like to tell people when they're like, oh, we want you to do this match, we want Sting versus Vader. I've heard that so much,
Oh, I
especially
don't
up in
like that.
Canada. We want you to give us Sting versus Vader. So
Hmm.
it's always a story of like, oh, I can break your body but I can't break your spirit. Like that's what we're telling. And then if it's like you and me against each other, it's who's gonna budge first, who can hit harder. And it's you can go as fucking hard or as smooth as you want, and it always gets a good reaction because even in today's wrestling, I feel that the table has turned so much on. I don't want to say it's a little guy's business, but like I feel like our breed is fewer and farther between. um because I have literally reached out to people for bookings and have been told, well, we already got a big guy. We don't need another one. And I'm just like, you can't
Hmm.
have more than one? Like, what about when he can't make the show? What if you want him to wrestle another big guy?
Hmm.
Like, people have like a big guy quota now. But regardless of all that, fans are still going to react to the initial shock and awe of the size, the sound, the steps, just all sorts of shit. If you're a big
Yeah.
guy could climb over the top rope to get in the ring, people are in awe of that. If you come out of the curtain and they're used to looking here at the guy, but you come out and now they got to look here, like stuff like that is still there. So special attraction match, yeah, that's
Well,
what it
that's
is. It used to
exactly
be
what
the
it is.
norm. Now it's like the special
Because
attraction.
look at back in the day, it was like the cruiserweight matches or like a midget match or like a women's match. Like those are your novelty matches. It was all
Yep.
big guy for the most part. It's
Mhm.
it's it's changed. Like honestly, like I'm definitely not what I once used to be in terms of in the ring. Like I saw the change coming, and like I'm not gonna begrudge it because that's what people want. They want the 20 super kicks, they want the dives, they want the planches and all that stuff, and that's cool, I love it. If that's what wrestling is evolving to, I gotta evolve with it. So it's not like and there's so many more people out there that can do the job better than I can. So like for me, I focus a lot of my stuff on character work and then the basic big man stuff. It's not gonna pass nowadays. That's why like I'll do more auxiliary roles on shows if I'm needed, if that, because there just isn't a place for a guy like me on a show anymore, unless it's like a town. that really truly believe it's real. Um, the best example you could tell is the time we worked in Erie together, and I was your original mouthpiece because I had to bring you in to wrestle Bennett Cole.
Mhm.
That crowd believed it's real down there, and they hated my guts. I've never had so many death threats in my life from wrestling until I was working down there where they believed it, and I got under their skin so much. But because that's not the norm nowadays, most places I can't get away with that, and it's fine. Like I'm not upset about it. It's just it stinks because I feel like I would want to do more and have that one last match or two, but I just don't know how well it would go over. But if I could be a good heater and a good mouthpiece somewhere, I'll do that all day now. I love those crowds.
I think there's still a time and a place. Maybe even sometime soon, but I still feel like there is a time and a place, and that shit can still get over. Unfortunately, I just worked Madman Fulton at the
Mhm,
last Immortal show in Utica, and unfortunately, the crowd wasn't as in tune to some parts of the match.
mhm.
You know, we did a lot of Hoss beefy shit, and they're kind of like, but then like once it kicked up a gear, they got into it. So it seemed like
Yeah.
which is weird because for so many years, because like I said, like that's my Utica Rome's kind of like my hometown market because it's so close to Oneida. Like I always tell everybody, I'm like, oh, they're a real good town because either they're stuck in the Attitude Era and they only know people like The Rock and they'll pop for people from ECW, or they're people who used to go to the Utica Odd and watch Andre the Giant. Like those are your two extremes. Like they're not very like super indie, smart marks or whatever, but like that
Mhm.
crowd was different than any other crowd I worked in Utica and Rome. So we really had to like alter some stuff to get the reactions. Like I grabbed him. He's like, "Oh, they're not buying this. We got to do this." And I'm like, "You're right. Like we got to do this shit." And we did, and we got better reactions. But like, I still feel like this type of match, us types of guys, like there's a time and a place for it, but it's just now it's the special attraction match. Now it's like, oh, we got a real
Yeah.
hoss fight, shit like that. I mean, I think it's for the past like 3 years, maybe longer. I have been trying to find somebody to do my fucking Super H Cup tournament of the super heavyweights. Like, I want to do it so bad as a passion project. I really want like a fucking Hoss tournament. There's all these best of the junior heavyweights, and not complaining, I
Yeah.
just want one for the big guys. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of guys in this area. Like, if someone was like, yeah, let's do it, I can get 8 really big fucking dudes and put on that fucking tournament, and it'd be something totally fucking different. And I
Yeah.
know some people, I've talked about it so much, and some people like, oh, that would be great. I'd like that, but it's just, like you're saying, this is the type of norm the people want
Yeah.
with the flips, the weaves, the kicks. But like, if you and me went out there, we did what we did, we would still get a reaction. It just comes
Yeah.
down to, is there a card that would fit on? Is there a company that would want
Exactly.
that sort of thing?
When ESW did those shows in the Southern Tier, like in Salamanca,
Mm,
or even in the Jamestown area now when they have like Southern Tier wrestling, those types of markets where they really believe in it so much and they believe everything is real, those are the type of crowds that would appreciate it more, I think, and buy it. And there's nothing wrong with it because those are my favorite crowds to work because those are the easiest crowds to work. It just takes a couple words and they're gone. They're going to be
yeah.
ballistic, and it makes it so much easier to work with, and it's a lot easier on the body too. At that point, that's why those are always have been some of my favorite shows with some of the most insane moments I've had with fans and stuff like that,
Mm.
which is great. That always makes me happy.
Yeah, because then you get them invested in, who you are instead of what you're doing. Like they're
Hmm.
investing in you as a person or as a character, as opposed to the flashy moves. So
Hmm.
you get that better reaction, and
Yeah,
I 100% agree. A
absolutely.
lot of places I'm just like, well, maybe if I cut this promo before the match, or what if I film this promo and send it in and you air it, or just give them something to sink their teeth into so they get
Yeah.
it. It's like I was when Carr was on here and we're talking about 99 problems. which
Oh,
is a
what a
pay per
great
view
night.
named after how many problems were in our match. Um, you know, we're in the main event. And you just got done watching the Dojo Bros, Eddie and Roddy versus the Young Bucks, and then here comes Brute, Graham, Carr, and Cage, and who no one watches is gonna know the fuck we are. And we hot starred it so we don't even get ring intros, so no one even knows what our names are. So why are people gonna get invested in it? But I was like, if you would have made a video package that showed all the shit from like Brute and Graham versus CK that led up to this, then the people would know and they would just be like, oh, okay. Well, these are the hometown guys and these are the heels and these guys screwed these guys and they had this brutal match and they did this. Okay, I'm more invested in it now. Like I feel
Hmm.
like if we would have got that plus the intros, like I feel like we would have stood a better chance than being dead in the water from the get-go because who are these guys? I don't even know their names sort of thing, you know?
Exactly. But you know what was good about that night was the drive home. It was a great drive home that we had.
How the fuck
That
was
was a
that
good
good,
call.
man? I
Oh,
remember
I love that
being
car.
I
I
remember
love
being
that
in
car.
that bar after the show on my phone reading Twitter, just everybody shitting on me in the match and just nothing good and just again, man, it's a good thing I didn't drink back then because I probably would have drank my sorrows that night. I was so fucking depressed. What the fuck
We
was the car ride home?
we had a good car ride home. It was a unique car, this one. It was the day of the that snowstorm,
I was gonna say, is that with
the
Dick and
blizzard.
Cheech?
Yeah, and you and me, and we had a great it was a very unique car that I did not expect to have and I did not come up with, but we were the ones that wanted to go the fuck home.
Yeah,
And
we
I
were
said,
done.
"Guys, I'll get you guys home. Just trust me." And you trust me, we had a good car ride. We played games in the front seat. Cheech and Dick fell asleep in the back seat after having some delicious cookies.
I was gonna say
Oh,
Cheech was an absolute delight. Like Cheech
oh, I love
was,
them. I loved it.
he was so mellow and laid back, and uh, my phone number was
That
listed on
was
the
great.
credits. Patrick, I'm pretty sure your phone number was written on one of the chairs too.
I
Like I
love
think,
it.
if I remember
Oh, I
that
love
right.
it. Yeah, it was a good night home. It was good to it's good to ride with other people sometimes because you like we can hear different perspectives on stuff. So that was all
Mm.
good. But yeah, that was a nice car ride home. It took an extra about hour, hour and a half ish
I
because
was
of
gonna
the
say it was
snow.
really long because of the snow.
Yeah, it was about an extra hour, an hour and a half ish. But I said, guys, I'm gonna get you home.
I
It was
drove Eddie
great.
Edwards and Adam Pierce home at 4 a.m. at 99 Problems. I didn't remember Adam Pierce was on the pay per view. Now that you mention it, I do. What a fucking night.
Did he wrestle? I remember. Was there? Who did he wrestle?
Patrick, who did Adam Pierce wrestle? He was probably in a Malta Man.
Because I remember Adam Pierce was there in Oswego too, I believe. But I like Adam Pierce, good man. Yeah,
Yes,
I
in
definitely
Oswego. Hopefully they burned that bitch.
I loved Oswego. Oswego is a great place for me. I had my best 2CW match ever there in
Four
Oswego.
way versus Dalton, Ando, and Gregory Irons.
Okay, that's a match I would have never expected to remember.
Oh,
I liked Oswego. Oswego was good. Oswego was, you know what? I have one complaint about Oswego.
the roller rink or the armory?
I lost my straw hat in Oswego. That's the only thing I can say bad about Oswego right now. No, two things. I got stranded out there when my car broke on the way to a show at the ice rink, and I had to call a tow truck, and I was stuck in Oswego to like 4 o'clock in the morning by myself,
Ooh, ooh.
and I almost got attacked by a skunk.
I had my car vandalized in Oswego, kind of.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. The double shot we did Rome and then Oswego. Um, so Rome was, I think it was the very first one, we wrestled DX, and this is the infamous story where some kid in the front row leaned over and grabbed me and Kevin. So I shoved him on his ass, and he tried to hop the guardrail and come after me, but his friend stopped him. Um, so the next night we're in Oswego's, me and Graham versus the Olsons for the tag titles, and so I drove there, uh, parked because like towards the front, and Studley and I we had to go and get batteries for like the microphone and shit.
Hmm.
So we go to my car, and the fans are already there, and somebody threw an entire can of soda at my windshield, and there was just like coagulated soda all over my windshield and the hood of my car. So
Oh,
I it just seemed like somebody might have saw me the show before get in my car. I don't know if it was because those kids were there. I remember seeing them in the crowd, and taunting them. So I don't know if they knew that was my car. I'm gonna guess they did, seeing how they found out where I worked to show up to my job to try to fight me. So I just always assumed it was them throwing shit at my car. So I made sure when I came back, I parked somewhere else, and I had like people check on my car to make sure no one was like slashing my tires and shit. Because I had some fucking Roddy Piper heat, daddy.
I love it when the fans are like that. That's great. Yeah, they never attacked my car there, thankfully. Um, no, I remember I was driving. It was I want to. This had to have been like an August show in Oswego. It was at the ice rink, and I forgot the show there, but I drove and the whole serpentine belt just snapped off my car like 20 minutes away from the venue, and I didn't know it. All
Mm,
I knew was my engine started to overheat. So we got there. I asked Josh. This actually, you know what? This is the only time I think I asked Josh for a favor. I asked him to bump me up to like second on the card or something like that because I told him, listen, I need to do this match. I need to go fix my car so I know how to get home tonight. He goes, okay, I'll do it for you. And then it got to the point there was no fixing it. I had to call a tow truck, but because the tow truck only allows one person in there, everybody left at like 2 o'clock in the morning. We went to that bar. So the ice rink was like maybe like 10 miles outside of my towing radius for AAA.
mm.
So I had to slowly drive my car with like somebody behind me with their hazards on so I could slowly drive like 15 miles an hour to the bar up the street where the after party was because then the tow truck was in the radius.
Uh,
And then everybody left me. So at like 2 o'clock in the morning, everybody's like, bye, we're going back to Rochester. Let us know you get home safe. I'm like, okay. And I had to wait there. I was sitting outside a picnic table, a skunk right after me. So I jumped in my car. I get sprayed. And then the tow truck driver came. And this was before one of the 2CW reunion shows. He goes, what are you doing out here if you live in Rochester? I told him about the shows and everything. And he goes, man, I let me know the next time you're in town. I'm like, listen, because you drove me home, I'll get you 2 tickets to the first show that we did at Drivers Village. So it's whatever the Oswego show was before the Drivers Village show that this happened.
shit. I remember my like my only tow truck story. This is my first vehicle, and we just finished the show. I can't remember where it was, but it was like March, February, maybe April, because it was like 4 a.m. I just got done with the ring crew. I'm driving
Oh
home back to Oneida, and I'm in my Jeep, and it starts fucking smoking like bad, like really bad. So I pull over, and all the lights on my dashboards lit up and started flashing,
yeah,
and I'm just
yep.
like, oh, this is bad. So like I
Mhm.
pull over, it won't turn, it won't start, it's just all lit up. So I was like, I have to fucking call a tow truck. Well, first I
Yeah.
called like Kevin because I was like, I might need a ride or help or something. But instead I just called the tow truck. They towed me. I was relatively close to my exit, but I remember it was like I forgot what it was, like $5, like $20 a mile or $5 a mile, whatever the fuck it was. But I was
Oh, that's awful.
like driving by every like mile marker, and just my brain going ching ching ching, and it ended up costing me like fucking $180 or some shit by the time I got it to where I
Ugh.
needed it. So they
Hmm.
dropped it off there, and then I don't remember how I got home. um I don't remember, but yeah, that was it. Then my car was dead, so I fucking scrapped it and had to get a new one. And then I moved out here with you, and then that car got totaled. So comes full circle.
If that one got totaled out here,
Yeah, the next car I got was my gold Chevy Malibu, and I uh, first Carrie says shut up because she was the one driving it, and then agent said the show you're talking about was Unfinished Business, 2013, where you wrestled Nevaeh. So man,
It
that was
couldn't
a
have.
bad fucking weekend for you.
No, no, it couldn't have been that show because I still had my Trailblazer.
Oh, you
Because
you
yeah, because
lose fucking
after that Nevaeh match, that's the show where Johnny Moose broke my knee essentially,
yeah.
and then we did Potsdam. This one I remember it was at the ice rink, but I remember telling them, hey, I'm going to give you tickets to like a Drivers Village show when we're in Syracuse. 'Cause I knew there was one coming up.
Was it the Young Buck show?
It may have been.
Was it my big return?
You know what? I think that may have been it.
Yeah, because I think that might have been the only other ice rink show. Because we did the Armory and then we lost it. Then we did a couple ice rink shows and we didn't come back for a while. And then we booked this date because it was the only date the Young Bucks were available. I came back from Japan. It was like in the middle of summer because I remember the walls were like
Yeah.
sweating. And
Yeah, no, it was
yeah,
definitely a summer show. I remember that because I'm like, okay, at least I can go outside. It's still kind of daylight. If I had to get out of my car, do something, we could do it there. But it had to have been, it would have had to been that there because I do remember that. Um, I also remember the ice rink show because Scorpio was on the show, and I messed up my back a couple days prior. And Scorpio's like, "What's wrong with you, man?" I told him, and he goes, "I want to walk on your back. I want to help you feel good for your match." And he laid me on my stomach. He walked all over my back. He gave me the right stretches to get me through the match. So he's a great man.
oh, that
Love
Scorp.
me, love me, Scorpio.
Yeah, I remember the last show before Friday went to Japan was at Drivers Village, and he was on there.
Yeah,
And
we
someone
had a
we were
round
talking about
table.
Japan. Yeah, all those people, and he was giving us all these tips and advice on what to do in Japan and what not to do, and it was great. Awesome dude. I love him.
Him and I, him and I shared an appetizer at Tully's that night. It was so romantic. Here's me like when 19 it was 1995. I'm in fifth grade, and Too Cool Scorpio was sent to my school by the WWE as part of like their like public appearance thing. So 1995, fifth grade, 9-year old me gets to meet Scorpio. Here we are years later, sharing like a seafood appetizer at a Tully's. I'm like, man, I love my life sometimes.
Did you tell him that story?
Yeah,
What did he say? He had to have loved it.
he said, take another shrimp, son. And it was a great time. And then, oh my God, I think I think this was the night when we were all saying goodbye. He just started going up to random strangers in the bar, saying goodbye and shaking their hands, and then leaving. Oh, it was a great night with that.
Oh shit. Oh, fucking Scorp. All right. Well, Beastie, he's the effing best, yes. All right, Beast, you had a long ass shift. I don't want to keep you much longer. So, what do you say we wrap this up for you? Like I
Let's do
said,
it.
we're
That's
gonna
fine.
give you what's that?
That's fine with me. We could do a
Okay,
part two.
we will do a part two. Absolutely, I'll put you
We
on the
still
part
haven't
two
hit.
list.
We haven't hit a lot of stuff yet.
No, we haven't talked about FPW. We haven't. This is the good amount of stuff we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, the
Um,
personal stuff, the real life stuff.
that too.
There's
Beast
a lot of
burgers.
there's a lot of stuff. The Beast Burgers, the Super Nintendo nights,
Oh yeah. A lot of great
all this
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a part two. We'll put you on that part two list, and we'll get you back as soon as we can. So
Sounds
everybody
like a
who's
plan.
left with us in the chat, you know the drill. I need 3 wrestlers. First 3 wrestlers I see, we're going to use them. And then while we're waiting for them, BC, we're going to do some rapid fire here. So I'm just going to throw out some road questions, and we'll just take the best answer you got. So first question, you're on the road. What's your go-to favorite style of music to listen to?
I love me hip hop. Love me the rap and the hip hop.
Ripping hip hop. Yep.
Rap and hip hop, absolutely.
So much Farouk number four.
It was my theme song for a show because of it.
Okay. Next question. You're on the road. What's your favorite go-to food that you get? Could be fast food or whatever.
Ideally, if it's available, I'd love to go to Sheets.
What's your sheets order?
Depending on which one I go to, because some food's better than other ones. I'm a big fan of the pizza, big
Okay.
fan of the quesadilla there, and I love me the 2-for-1 hot dogs.
Oh yeah, you're always about those hot dogs. That's right. Yep. I used to
The
always
two
have
for one
to
hot dogs in the spoil.
yeah, I used to always bring the wife home sheets hot dogs and a pretzel roll with sauerkraut. Those are her go-tos. Um
Oh,
she
two
misses
for a
me
dollar,
getting
so good.
yeah, she misses me getting paid booked in Pennsylvania. I can't bring 'em home for her anymore. It's the best hot dogs, yes. Okay, next question. You're on the road. What's your favorite go-to podcast?
I honestly never listen to podcasts on the
No?
road. It's just music.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah,
that
honestly, just music. Because the voice of the podcast makes me sleepy.
I can totally understand that. I understand 100%. A lot of times when I was driving my last like home by myself, like we'd get back to Syracuse and have to drive back to Rochester, I would usually listen to podcasts because I would kind of interact with it. Like I would talk to it and stuff. So kind of like I had people in the car with me. So I would
Hmm.
kind of like that helped me stay awake. So if I was listening to something, they would say something, I'd like say something back at them or something. And that helped me. But I can totally get um that aspect of it. So then the next question, this should lead into it. You're on the road. What's your go-to car karaoke song?
God, there's so many of them. I am a big fan of "When Doves Cry" by Prince.
Oh, really?
That's also a good karaoke bar song for me too. I'm a very dedicated and passionate person to that song.
Oh shit! Now we got to drive again so I can hear this. I cannot. Oh man, I can only imagine Super B singing some "When Doves Cry." Holy shit!
It's so good. I've
Uh
gotten standing ovations at bars before.
oh
It's that fun.
shit!
It's because I'm an entertainer with it. I might not be great, but I'm an entertainer.
One time, I don't know where we're going, but I know my wife was with us, but we were driving to some show and Beast was driving, I was in the passenger seat, and we're going, and Ice Ice Baby came on, and that's my uh
Hmm.
in case of emergency karaoke song. Like I learned the lyrics over and over on solo drives, so if I was ever put in a situation where you have to sing karaoke, I picked a song that like I don't have to sing. So like that came on, and my wife's got a video right behind us, and I'm just looking at Beast just like singing the song to him in his ear.
I want to say it had to have been like a Rome or something up there type of show, like one of the
Yeah,
bigger ones, something up there. Because I do remember that, or maybe or like one of the Hall of Fame shows or something.
something like that. Yeah. Because I think Carrie brought it up and you didn't believe her that I learned the lyrics, so I had to like
Hmm.
prove myself. So
And I had it on the iPod ready to go.
yep, yep. All right. So here we go. Beast, you're very familiar with this game. So we're gonna end this with our favorite road game that we play to keep us awake on those long drive homes. It's much like Mary Fuck Kill, but it's a wrestling version. It is Tag Feud Barry. And the three wrestlers that we got for you today. Now, again, you can choose these based however you want, personal preference, fan favorite. Typically, we like to play with what will draw the most money for you. So the three wrestlers we have today are Terry Funk, Ted DiBiase, and Ron Simmons.
God, this edible is great. And it was Barry, Feud, and what else?
And tag. So you can be a tag
On
team with one of
tag.
them.
Okay.
You can have a feud with them, and the other one gets buried, never to be seen again.
I'm gonna feud with Terry Funk.
Okay.
I need to have the feud with Terry Funk. That's like I could do so much with Terry Funk in there. Just being crazy. If I was to tag with somebody, that's a tough one here because I mean Ron Simmons is a badass, and I'd love to not have to do the work and let him be the workhorse. But Ted DiBiase's so much character work. I think I could have a lot of fun with that. I'm gonna have to say tag with DiBiase, and then
Oh,
poor Simmons.
damn.
Poor Simmons. And listen, it's nothing against good old Ron. I love Farouk number 4, which I'm so glad that man, if I tagged him, I could have came out to Farouk number 4.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
damn it.
true.
Okay, but with Ted DiBiase, I could play a millionaire as well. I've done so many other gimmicks. Why not?
See, I think. Well, I'm definitely. If it was me, I'm definitely feuding with Funk. Man, we could have a lot of fun brawls. And
Yeah,
I'm kind of torn with you on the other ones because, like, on one hand, I feel like me and Simmons could like destroy people. But then
you're doomed.
DiBiase, very smart. We see my brain goes to Mid South DiBiase. Like I go to like All Japan DiBiase, not $1 Million Man.
Okay. Oh, I
So
am.
they didn't specify if it was $1 Million
Yeah.
Man. So if it was like Mid South DiBiase, I think I would tag with him. But if it's $1 Million Man, I think I'm going to tag with
Mm.
Simmons.
Okay, so then, yeah, because I'm thinking of $1 Million Man, Ted
Hmm.
DiBiase, because that's my favorite version. But let's just say this: if it's Ted DiBiase Jr., he's getting buried. Then I'm tagging with Simmons. I'll throw that out there as well.
Good answer. Good answer. All right, folks. So that's where we're gonna wrap things up here. And holy shit, we have a new record. Super Beast episode coming in at 3 hours and 50 minutes. That blows Jason X and Dick Justice out of the water, which coincidentally are the other two on the part two club. So it seems like whenever I got people on here that are multiple parters, man, we
Hmm.
we go Broadway. So Beast, again, I can't thank you enough. You stepped up. You here a week early to save my ass because I needed a guest here. I appreciate it. I had a blast talking to you, uh, reliving everything. Like I've said a million times leading up to this, well, aside from that one story when like dude called you a fucking locker room cancer, I didn't think anybody would have a bad thing to say about Beast. But fuck him, he doesn't count because Beast is the most well liked, well
Hmm.
loved man in the history of pro wrestling. He has been in locker rooms in Central New York, Western New York, Pennsylvania. He's loved everywhere. He's helped my ass out. He gave me a couch to sleep on when I had nowhere to live. He introduced me to my wife. He has taught me so much. He is an amazing dude. And I thank you so much for being on here tonight, man. I really had a
Oh,
blast.
I'm blushing. I'm blushing. You're too kind to me. You're too kind to me.
No, man, you're too kind to me. I owe you everything, man. And I appreciate you. Who the F? I gotta go back and find that asshole. Beast. Well, Patrick, if you were here earlier, you would have heard the story. But absolutely, we will definitely have Beast on here for round two because we have so much more to go. Um, I would like to say who my guest is next week, but I haven't filled that spot yet. So stay tuned and we'll see what's going on next Friday. If I don't find anybody, I think we'll do something like a watch along or something like that. But stay tuned and we'll figure that out. So, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out and joining us here. I'll see you all next Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hopefully. And until then, just remember, you guys are the champs. Bye.